In the winter of 1989, inside the thatched roof house of the Su family in number 8 village. Why should she get the bracelet? I'm the eldest daughter-in-law of this family. Ever since I married into this household, I've tended to my parents-in-law, my sister-in-law, and brother-in-law. I've taken care of every single bit of this big family's daily life. I deserve some credit for all this hard work, don't I? This bracelet was passed down from grandma to mother. Logically, it ought to go to me. Qin Suiwa's tears streamed down her blouse. Gasping for breath, she pointed a trembling finger straight at Su Qiuyue, then turned and shouted tearfully at her mother-in-law, Zhou Xiaofeng. Su Dashan, who had been squatting on the ground, jumped to his feet. He swatted Qin Suiwa's pointing hand away hard. Keep your voice down. Don't wake the younger kids. Mother can give it to whoever she wants. Get back to your room. The blow sent Qin Suihua staggering. Her eyes burned bright red. She shot Su Dashan a furious glare, yet dared not utter another word. Wiping her tears, she turned and ran back to her room. Silence fell over the room. Zhou Xiaofeng tossed another bundle of firewood into the stove pit. The firelight deepened the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes. It was no wonder Qin Suihua was upset. Among the 4 children in the Su family, Su Qiuyue had always been the most cherished. While other children her age were already working in the fields, Su Qiuyue had never even held a hoe and did hardly any housework. Ever since Qin Suihua had married into the family, she had borne nearly all the household burdens, with Su Qiuyue rarely lifting a finger to help. Yet fondness could not put food on the table. Su Dai, the younger brother, had passed the entrance exam for the town junior high school. Few in the whole village managed that. The family would scrape together every last penny to send him to school. Su Qirong, the younger sister, also needed to start school soon. The rice jar was nearly empty, and money was nowhere to be found. Just then, the village party secretary sent a matchmaker to propose a marriage. The groom offered a bride price of 3,000 yuan, plus the 3 rotations and 1 sound household goods, as well as 3 newly built big tile roofed houses. A bride price of 3,000 yuan was unheard of in number 8 village. It was all because Su Qiuyue was breathtakingly beautiful. Matchmakers had been beating a path to the Su family's door. She had long thick black braids, round almond-shaped eyes, a straight nose, and soft crimson lips. Her skin was fair from never working outdoors. Her beauty was famous for miles around. Su Qiuyue had not wanted the marriage at first. But seeing her parents' hair turn gray with worry, she finally gave in. Zhou Xiaofeng hated to see her daughter suffer. To keep her from being looked down on after marriage, she intended to give Su Qiuyue the family's silver bracelet, passed down for 3 generations, as part of her dowry. It was the only valuable thing the family owned. Naturally, this decision sparked fierce resentment from the eldest daughter-in-law Qin Suihua. Zhou Xiaofeng pulled Su Qiuyue close. Eyes glistening, she firmly slipped the bracelet onto Su Qiuyue's wrist. Where, are you truly sure? We haven't given the matchmaker our answer yet. Maybe. Su Qiuyue's eyes welled up. She lowered her head. Mother, don't say any more. A girl has to marry someone anyway. Besides, Brother Daqiang is a decent man. He lives close by, steady and hard, working. Hearing this, Su Dashan, who had been squatting nearby, felt his eyes burn. He thumped his thigh hard. It's all my fault for being useless. If only I could earn more money. His voice choked with emotion. Ever since his little sister was born, their parents had been busy working the fields. So Su Dashan had largely raised her himself. He loved his sister deeply. If Su Qiuyue had asked for the moon, he would have tried his best to fetch it for her. Su Qiuyue could not bear to see her elder brother grieve. She patted his back. Brother, don't be like this. I'm doing this of my own free will, truly. Just then the outer room door creaked open. Su Jianxi stepped in, rubbing his cold hands. Snow dusted his old army, green cotton, padded jacket. He picked up a broom behind the door and brushed the snow off his clothes. He turned and looked around at everyone. Seeing their tear-stained faces, he frowned. What's going on here? At the sight of the family's main provider returning, Zhou Xiaofeng's long, suppressed grief burst forth. She rushed over and grabbed his sleeve, tears pouring down her face. Where says she will marry Daqiang? Su Jianxi's expression darkened. He said nothing. Zhou Xiaofeng's heart sank. Her voice trembled. Did you fail to borrow any money? I couldn't. This year's harvest was poor. Everyone is struggling. Upon hearing the news, Zhou Xiaofeng's last glimmer of hope crumbled, and she broke into loud sobs. It was not that relatives and neighbors refused to lend them money. Everyone was poor, and many had grown weary of lending. Watching her parents sink into despair, Su Qiuyue felt a heavy weight in her chest. She was about to speak when Su Jieshi strode over to her. He took her by the shoulders and steered her toward her bedroom. Go back to your room and think this over. There is still time before school starts. I will find another way. You must marry of your own free will, not just for money. Though those were his words, Su Qiuyue knew that getting married was their only practical solution right now. Su Qiuyue went into her room, closed the door, and climbed onto the heated Kong bed. Her elder brother had already stoked the Kong until it was warm and cozy. Poor as the family was, they doted on her. Of the 3 rooms, she had one all to herself. Her parents and younger siblings shared one room, and her elder brother and sister-in-law shared the other. She sat on the Kang, slipped the bracelet off her wrist, and set it on the table. She stared at it for a long time, her mind in turmoil. To distract herself, she fetched an awl and began stitching shoe soles. Lost in her thoughts, she pricked her finger on the first stitch. The cut was deep, and blood dripped onto the silver bracelet. A flash of white light burst out, and Su Qiuyue vanished from where she sat, reappearing in a completely different place. She still held the awl in her hand, oblivious to her injured finger. She stared in bewilderment. Had she not just been sewing shoe soles? How had she ended up here? It had been night back home, yet here it was broad daylight. She looked around in total confusion. Before her lay a gurgling stream, green grass and wild flowers of every hue. Su Qiuyue sat on the grass, utterly dumbfounded. She glanced down at her cotton, padded jacket, then at the lush green plants and blooming flowers all around. Snow had been falling back home. How could it suddenly be summer? She stood up and brushed grass off her clothes. She followed a narrow path forward. After walking roughly the time it took to smoke a pouch of tobacco, she climbed a small earthen mound and froze in her tracks. The sight before her made her gape in disbelief. Gone were low-thatched huts and bare farm fields. Instead stood dense clusters of high-rise buildings, one pressed against another. Vehicles on the road bore no resemblance to the tractors she knew. They were smaller and far faster. Good heavens! How many floors do these have? Climbing to the top would take until dark, she murmured, staring up at the buildings. Before she could take it all in, someone grabbed her arm. The person wore thin, unfamiliar clothing. Dragging her along, they spoke anxiously. We've been waiting for you. We were supposed to gather at 10. What took you so long? Su Qiuyue was dragged forward, her mind still reeling. She could barely keep her feet beneath her. Soon they arrived at a simple bungalow. Compared with the towering high-rises all around, it belonged to an entirely different world. The woman pushed her toward a table and nodded at the woman sitting behind it. Register her. She then turned back to Su Qiuyue. You're cutting it close today. Don't be late next time. Get your extra performer ID out for registration. Su Qiuyue blinked. What was an extra performer ID? While she stood there dazed, several other people came over to register. All of them greeted the woman who had brought her along politely. Hello, Sister Zhou. Sister Zhou gave them only a brief nod. Su Qiuyue watched them hand over small plastic cards to the woman behind the table. So that must be the extra performer ID. You needed one to work here. Before she could sort everything out, Sister Zhou's gaze landed on her. Her eyebrows rose slightly. Well, you've done your hair and makeup already. Fine, but don't style yourself like this next time. You stand out more than the female lead. Let the makeup team handle you, all right? Your costume fits well enough. That's not, Su Qiuyue waved her hands, trying to say that she had been mistaken for someone else. But Sister Zhou cut her off. The group coordinator must have told you the assignment. Today you are an extra. You just stand in the background, no lines. 180 yuan for the day. Come find me for payment when we wrap up. 180 yuan for one day? Su Qiuyue's eyes widened in shock. That seemed impossibly good money. Back in her village, the whole family slaved away all year. After accounting for seed, fertilizer, and daily food costs, being left with 180 yuan was cause for celebration. And here she would earn that just standing around all day? Hardly believing her ears, she asked again. Truly, 180 yuan for a single day? Sister Zhou thought she was complaining about low pay. Her expression turned sharp. 180 is not bad. Go check the crew next door. They only pay 150. She paused, recalling Su Qiuyue's unfinished sentence. What were you trying to say just now? That's not what. Su Qiuyue's heart skipped a beat. She had been about to say she had been mistaken for another person, but she swallowed the words. 180 yuan. No matter who Sister Zhou had been expecting, she would take that person's place for now. Su Qiuyue had no idea that the real extra Sister Zhou had been looking for was at home, torn between several different job offers. Wondering which one to accept. She quickly put on a meek smile and waved her hands. Nothing at all. I forgot to bring my extra performer ID. Sister Zhou rolled her eyes and glanced at her wristwatch. We'll let it slide this time. Don't show up without it again, or I won't give you work. Su Qiuyue had not expected her to be so lenient. She gave her a grateful look. Thank you, Sister Zhou. I will definitely bring it next time. Sister Zhou led her to an old locust tree and told her to wait there. Many others were already squatting beneath the tree, young people and gray-haired elders. Some wore flower, patterned cotton, padded jackets much like hers. These must all be the extras Sister Zhou had spoken of. Once Sister Zhou left, Su Qiuyue looked carefully at her surroundings. This cluster of bungalows was enclosed by tall fences. The buildings varied greatly, earthen huts with straw roofs, red brick cottages, and even a shop with a wooden sign reading Supply and Marketing Cooperative. Everything felt both familiar and alien. While she looked on, a hand suddenly stretched out before her, holding a creamy, white rabbit milk candy. A clear young voice spoke. Have this? Are you new here too? Su Qiuyue lifted her head. A girl around her own age stood before her, also wearing a flower, patterned cotton, padded jacket and two thick black braids. Looking at her curiously. This was her chance to ask what place she had stumbled into. Su Qiuyue took the candy, unwrapped the paper, and popped it into her mouth. Sweetness spread across her tongue. She had not tasted candy in a very long time, and her eyes crinkled with delight. It's so sweet. Thank you. The girl grew a little shy at her sincere gratitude and scratched her head. It's just one candy, no need to thank me. My name is Luanwen. What's yours? Su Qiuyue. Girls of similar age easily grew close. Su Qiuyue looked gentle and harmless, and Luanwen quickly struck up a conversation with her. From Luanwen, Su Qiuyue learned that this was a film and television base. The current crew was shooting a drama set in the 1980s. I'm just free during the holidays. I heard short drama crews here need people and pay decent wages, so I came. Luanwen said, her eyes sparkling. Best of all, you get to see famous actors. I might even spot my idol. His name is Zhou. He has starred in so many popular shows. Have you seen any of his works? Su Qiuyue knew about television sets. A neighbor owned a black and white TV, and when she was young she had often gone to watch Journey to the West. Even now she thought the Queen of the Daughter Kingdom was breathtakingly beautiful. But she had never heard of short dramas or Zhou. Afraid of giving herself away, she shook her head. I haven't. Luanwen thought nothing of it. That's normal. There are so many actors and so many short dramas. It's easy not to have seen some. She pulled out a small black rectangular device with a glowing, colorful screen. Tapping on it, she turned to Su Qiuyue. Let's add WeChat. I'll scan you. We can keep each other in the loop about future jobs. Shall we also exchange phone numbers? Su Qiuyue stared at the strange little device in awe. Was this a telephone? The telephones she knew were large fixed, set ones with tangled cords and hand-held receivers. This device was tiny and lit up in bright colors. Not knowing how to respond, she mumbled. I didn't bring mine. Luanwen stared, surprised. Nearly everyone carried a mobile phone wherever they went these days. She thought Su Qiuyue might be making an excuse to avoid adding her. But thinking back, she had never seen Su Qiuyue pull out such a device. Perhaps she really had left it behind. All right then. Let's scroll through Douyin together. It'll keep you from getting bored sitting alone. The two girls squatted side by side beneath the locust tree, leaning their heads together as they scrolled through short clips on the phone. Su Qiuyue's eyes went wide. This small box was not only a telephone, it could also play what Luanwen called videos. People in the clips wore bizarre, varied outfits, dazzling her. Then they came across a matchmaking video. A man on screen spoke stubbornly. After marriage, you must wait on my parents. Hand over all your salary and give birth to 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. If you cannot have a son, we will not get married. Ugh. Luanwen shut off the screen, frowning angrily. It's 2026 already. Those old-fashioned ideas should be long gone. Though this might just be clickbait for views. Su Qiuyue barely caught Luanwen's last words. Her mind was stuck on one number, 2026. It was 1989 back home. How could she have landed in 2026? Was she dreaming? She pinched her thigh hard and gasped at the sharp pain. Luowen noticed her reaction. What's wrong? Nervous, Su Qiuyue jumped to her feet and paced a little. Nothing. My legs fell asleep from squatting. Outwardly calm, panic churned inside her. How would she get back home? What if she could never return? Still, she ought to earn that 180 yuan first. That sum would cover her younger brother and sister's school fees. Hearing this, Luowen also stood up and shifted her weight, afraid her legs would go numb too. The ache of pins and needles was terribly uncomfortable. Just then, Sister Zhou strode over, hands on her hips, and called out loudly. Everyone gather. Time to start shooting. Su Qiuyue and Lu Wenwen followed the crowd. Exactly as Sister Zhou had said, they stood in the background crowd without any lines. Su Qiuyue's delicate features made her stand out. Amid the crowd, she looked like a fresh, poplar sapling. A production crew member motioned her forward. You stand here. Hold your posture nicely. They stood for roughly 2 hours. When the sun hung high overhead, staff pushed a food cart to distribute lunch boxes. Lunch is ready. Come collect your meals. Su Qiuyue lined up. Her hands trembled slightly as she received her lunchbox. She lifted the lid. Inside were 2 meat dishes, 1 vegetable dish, and a bowl of soup. There was braised meat coated in glossy sauce, fried chili pork piled high with slices of meat, and rich, braised mixed vegetables. Seaweed and egg drop soup floated with shreds of egg, smelling delicious. Su Qiuyue stared at the food in amazement. Even during festivals back home, her family rarely ate so well. Real meat. She swallowed hard, her fingers tightening around her chopsticks. Luowen squatted down beside her with her own lunchbox. She took a bite of the braised meat and wrinkled her nose. This is about as good as school cafeteria food. Far too greasy. She glanced over at Su Qiuyue. Why aren't you eating? It's not great, but you need to eat something. We still have the whole afternoon ahead of us. Luowen assumed Su Qiuyue disliked the food. She had no idea Su Qiuyue was overwhelmed by how good it was. Su Qiuyue picked up her chopsticks and ate. Inside, she marveled at how rich and tasty the food was. She finished every bit of food and drank every drop of soup. Luowen watched, astonished. She must have been really hungry to eat every last bite of supposedly mediocre food. Su Qiuyue licked her lips contentedly. Noticing Lu Wenwen's stare, she smiled sheepishly and whispered, I think it tastes really good. Lu Wenwen gave her a thumbs up. Good for you. Shooting resumed after lunch. By past 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Sister Zhou called out that filming was finished. Everyone went to the registration desk to collect payment. The queue was short. Su Qiuyue moved forward. She watched others take out their mobile phones, tap the screens, and hold them out towards Sister Zhou. Soon a clear notification tone sounded. WeChat received 180 yuan. When Su Qiuyue's turn came, Sister Zhou did not look up. Show me your payment QR code. Su Qiuyue's heart sank. She had no mobile phone. Before she could explain, Luowen stepped in front of her and smiled at Sister Zhou. Sister Zhou, she forgot her phone today. Could you transfer the money to me instead? I'll give her cash. Su Qiuyue felt a surge of warmth inside. She looked gratefully at Luowen. Once Luowen received the payment, she pulled Su Qiuyue aside. She took out 3 brand new 50 yuan notes and 3 10 yuan notes, counted them carefully, and handed them over. Here you go. Luckily my mom gave me some cash this morning. Don't forget your phone next time, or it will be such a hassle. Su Qiuyue held the unfamiliar banknotes in her hands, turning them over. They looked nothing like the money she knew from her own era. A worried thought crossed her mind. Even if she could return home, this money would be worthless there, no better than waste paper. Her shoulders drooped and her brows drew together. Lu Wenwen nudged her arm. What's wrong? You got paid, why look so glum? Su Qiuyue could not possibly say she had traveled through decades of time. She simply shook her head and tucked the money carefully deep inside her cotton, padded jacket pocket. Lu Wenwen didn't press her for more details. She tugged at her arm and shook it slightly. It's almost dinner time. Are you free later? How about we head over to the farmer's market? I want to buy some fruit and we can grab dinner there too. They've got tons of tasty street food stalls. Su Qiuyue's eyes lit up. Right? If she couldn't bring the money back with her, she could always spend it here. She nodded quickly. Sure, sounds good. Let's go change our clothes first, then we'll set off. Lu Wenwen pulled her toward the changing room. When she came out in light, casual clothes, she noticed Su Qiuyue was still wearing her big floral cotton, padded jacket. Confused, she asked, "Why haven't you changed?" Su Qiuyue had no choice but to tell the truth. "I came wearing this. I don't need to change." Lu Wenwen immediately gave her an understanding look and nodded. "You're really particular. Afraid the studio costumes aren't clean, so you brought your own outfit? That must cost a lot, though. Can you even make any money this way?" Worried she would keep asking questions, Su Qiuyue quickly changed the subject. "Where's this market you mentioned? Let's hurry up. I want to get home early." Right, let's go." Lu Wenwen slapped her forehead and dragged her outside. "Let's see what fruit is on sale today. I want to stock up some for the fridge." As soon as they walked into the farmer's market, Su Qiuyue's eyes could barely take everything in. Rows of stalls were neatly arranged. Fresh fruit was piled up like small hills. There were braised delicacies and all kinds of pastries she had never seen before. Everything dazzled her, and she swallowed hard. It had been ages since she had eaten fruit. Her family lived in northeast China. In winter, fruit was both scarce and expensive. They only got to eat a little during the Lunar New Year. Lost in thought, she felt Lu Wenwen pull her over and point to a spicy, boiled, skewers stall nearby. "Let's have skewers here. They're delicious and really good value." Su Qiuyue followed her gaze. A small red, painted cart stood there, with a wooden sign on the front reading Old Wong's Spicy, Boiled Skewers. A large steaming iron pot sat in the cart's compartment, bubbling away with bright red broth. 2 rows of metal hooks hung along the pot's edge, loaded with all sorts of food on skewers. Glossy meat skewers, batter, fried tofu, crisp green leaf lettuce, and other items she could not name were neatly lined up, glowing invitingly in the steam. The stall owner, an aunt, deftly turned the skewers in the pot. Seeing customers approach, she smiled warmly. "What would you like?" "Vegetable skewers are 1 yuan each, meat skewers 2 yuan each. Pick whatever you want." Hearing the prices, Su Qiuyue's eyes went wide. Just 3 pieces of green vegetables on a tiny bamboo stick cost 1 yuan? A meat skewer with only 4 small chunks cost 2 yuan? Back in 1989, a jean of pork only cost 2 yuan. This was unbelievably expensive. How much would a meal here set her back? Clutching the money she had just earned, she was shocked inside. Lu Wenwen pulled her up to the stall, picked up an empty plate with practiced ease, and started selecting food. 10 beef skewers, 2 fish, tofu skewers, and some greens. "Qiuyue, what do you like?" "Help yourself, my treat." Su Qiuyue thought the prices were far too high, and she did not want to take advantage of her friend for nothing. She waved her hands quickly. No, I'm not hungry. You eat." "Nonsense, you must be hungry." Ignoring her protests, Lu Wenwen pushed her down onto a small stool beside the stall. "If you won't pick, I'll just get what I like. Sit and wait." Moments later, Lu Wenwen returned with a plate piled high with skewers. She dropped handfuls of them into the pots. Soon both the spicy and clear broth pots were full. Then Lu Wenwen remembered something and turned to Su Qiuyue. "Skewers aren't complete with Snow King drinks. Wait here, there's a shop across the market." "What do you want me to get?" Su Qiuyue looked confused. "Snow King. Right, Mishue Snow City." Lu Wenwen was genuinely surprised. "Don't tell me you've never had it." Su Qiuyue recalled the large snowman figure she had spotted across the market on her way in. The sign had read Mishue Snow City, so that was the drink shop. Since Lu Wenwen was treating her to skewers, Su Qiuyue wanted to buy the drinks in return. She wondered how pricey they were. "Mishue Snow City. I drink it all the time back home. What would you like?" "I'll go buy them." Lu Wenwen nodded, thinking of course she would know the brand. Thinking for a moment, she decided juice would go perfectly with the spicy skewers. "I want a full, mark passion fruit, less ice, regular sugar." Su Qiuyue repeated the order silently twice so she would not forget. Remembering the hand gestures she had seen on Douyin with Lu Wenwen earlier, she gave an okay sign and walked off. At the entrance to Snow King, Su Qiuyue reached out to touch the snowman statue. Unexpectedly, the figure moved. A hand appeared and handed her a coupon. Su Qiuyue jumped in fright. She numbly took the coupon. It was a person in costume, not a static decoration as she had thought. Calming herself down, she examined the coupon. It stated, 1 yuan off any drink purchase. She whispered thank you to the costumed worker. She walked into the shop holding the coupon. It was small, decorated mainly in red, looking festive and welcoming. Music played inside. I love you. You love me, sweet honey. Hearing the straightforward lyrics, Su Qiuyue's cheeks grew warm. There were not many customers. The shop assistant stared at Su Qiuyue's outfit in surprise. Wearing a cotton, padded jacket in hot weather with two thick long braids, was some new Republic of China-style cosplay trend going around? Shaking her head at young people's unpredictable tastes, the assistant greeted her warmly and asked for her order. Su Qiuyue relayed Lu Wenwen's request. One full, mark passion fruit, less ice, regular sugar. The assistant entered the order quickly. Anything else? Our newly launched bold black tea bucket is very popular. Would you like to try it? Since she was already there, Su Qiuyue thought she might as well give it a try. All right, one of those two, less ice, regular sugar. The assistant tapped the screen. That comes to 16 yuan. Your coupon deducts 1 yuan, so 15 yuan total. Shall I scan you? Su Qiuyue was stunned by the price. 15 yuan for 2 drinks. If her parents found out, they would think she had lost her mind. Back in her village, a bottle of orange soda cost 15 cents, and you got 5 cents back for returning the bottle. Getting to drink one was a luxury. She pulled cash from her pocket and handed it over. After receiving her change, she sat in the waiting area as directed. The drinks were ready quickly. Your order is ready, the assistant called. Su Qiuyue stepped forward and took the 2 drink bags. She thought the packaging looked quite nice. She hurried back to the market. Lu Wenwen was sitting on her stool scrolling on her phone. I'm back, Su Qiuyue said, handing over the drink. Lu Wenwen took it, stuck in her straw, and took 2 big gulps. Perfect, just how I like it. Sit down and eat, everything's cooked. Su Qiuyue picked up her bold black tea bucket and inserted her straw just as she had seen Lu Wenwen do. She took a small tentative sip. Cold liquid slid down her throat, pleasantly sweet with a light tea aroma. She froze, then took a large gulp. Her eyes widened. How could something taste this good? No wonder Lu Wenwen said skewers had to be paired with these drinks. She held her cup and hesitated before drinking more. Each cup cost several yuan, but it really was delicious. Lu Wenwen fished a meat skewer out of the pot and handed it to Su Qiuyue. I already mixed the dipping sauce for you, sesame, paste flavor. Give it a try. If you don't like it, you can make your own over there. This is black pepper beef, it's amazing. Su Qiuyue took the skewer, dipped it in the sauce just like Lu Wenwen had done, blew on it to cool it down, and took a bite. The rich sesame paste blended with black pepper beef flavor spread across her tongue, tasting better with every chew. Su Qiuyue's eyes lit up. She turned toward Lu Wenwen. This meat is so tasty. Happy that Su Qiuyue enjoyed it, Lu Wenwen grabbed several more skewers and gave them to her. I'm glad you like it. Eat plenty. Before long they finished all the skewers. Su Qiuyue leaned back in her seat, patting her full stomach, thoroughly satisfied. Lu Wenwen wiped her mouth. Let's go look at fruit and find some discounted ones. Su Qiuyue stood up. Sure. She followed close behind Lu Wenwen. Soon her attention was caught by a clothing stall. Noticing her interest, Lu Wenwen stopped. Want to take a look? Su Qiuyue nodded eagerly. Yes. The stall displayed jeans, denim skirts, t-shirts, bags, and more. Lu Wenwen glanced over and lost interest immediately. The styles were dated and the quality poor, clothes even her mother would not wear. Su Qiuyue, however, ran her hands over the jeans and bags, unable to tear herself away. These flare-leg jeans had frayed, uneven hems, styles that simply did not exist in 1989. A sudden thought struck her. If she could not bring money back, could she bring clothes back to sell? Styles like these would be hard to find even in southern cities, let alone her town. Seeing how captivated Su Qiuyue was by the clothes, the stall owner hurried over with a warm smile. We're clearing stock right now. Which one catches your eye? I'll give you a good price. The owner knew perfectly well the quality of this batch was mediocre. They sold only because the prices were low. She was glad for an interested customer and wanted to make the sale. Su Qiuyue pointed to the jeans she had been touching. How much for these? Glancing down at her out-of-place floral cotton, padded jacket, she also pointed at a short-sleeved shirt. And this one. 20 yuan for the jeans, 9.9 yuan for the t-shirt, the owner said. She gestured toward the bags. How about a bag to match your outfit? I'll give it to you for 20 yuan too. Su Qiuyue mentally calculated. She had spent 15 yuan on drinks, leaving her with 165 yuan. That was enough for one t-shirt plus 7 pairs of jeans. But doubt crept in. What if she could not bring them back? What if she could never return to her own time? Her excitement faded, and her mood sank. Thinking of her younger siblings' school fees, she gritted her teeth. Fortune favored the bold. She would buy them first. If she got back home safely, this haul would cover their tuition. She picked one pair of jeans in her own size and one shirt for herself, for future visits. She also took 6 pairs of one size fits, most jeans to sell back home. Delighted by such a large purchase, the stall owner gave her 2 extra pairs of socks as a gift. You're a great customer. These socks are for you. Come back next time, I'll give you more discounts. Su Qiuyue accepted the socks happily. Her parents' old socks were full of patches. These would be perfect for them. Lu Wenwen stared in surprise. 1 pair for novelty made sense, but 7 pairs? She could not help asking, why so many? Su Qiuyue stroked the new socks. Lots of relatives. They're for their children. Lu Wenwen understood. Earning only 180 yuan a day, Su Qiuyue could not afford expensive gifts. After paying, Su Qiuyue had only 15 yuan left. Still, holding the 2 big bags of clothes filled her with joy. Come on, let's go look for fruit, she said, pulling Lu Wenwen along. Lu Wenwen bought 3 pitayas for 10 yuan and a small box of jackfruit for 18 yuan. Su Qiuyue had never seen such fruit before, but she dared not spend her remaining money. Keeping some cash on hand felt wise, in case she came back again. Finished shopping, Lu Wenwen prepared to head home and asked if Su Qiuyue wanted to take the subway together. Su Qiuyue quickly declined, claiming she had other errands to run, and said goodbye. Once Lu Wenwen left, Su Qiuyue found a public restroom. She had arrived in 2026 out of nowhere. If she vanished abruptly in front of crowds when returning home, she would terrify people. A private stall felt much safer. Inside the cubicle, she recalled how she had arrived. She had been sewing shoe soles, distracted, pricked her finger, and blood had dripped onto her silver bracelet. The bracelet! She lifted her wrist and nearly cried out. The silver bracelet was still on her hand. Had the bracelet brought her here? She had been gone a long while. Her family must have noticed her disappearance and be searching everywhere. How would she explain this bizarre adventure once she returned? She shook her head. She needed to figure out how to get home first. She stroked the bracelet and focused on wanting to go home. Would pricking her finger again be necessary? Before she could think further, a flash of white light blinded her. In the next instant, she stood on the kang inside her 1989 home. She was still holding her 2 large bags of clothes, frozen in the posture she had been in inside the restroom stall. A thought popped into her mind. Could traveling simply require touching the bracelet and thinking of where she wanted to go? Eager to test her theory, she set down her bags, touched the bracelet again, and thought, take me back to 2026. White light flashed, and she was right back inside that restroom stall. Her guess was correct. Tears of joy welled in her eyes. This miraculous power was hers. Her siblings' school fees were no longer hopeless. With this bracelet, she might even improve her whole family's life. She took a deep breath, touched the bracelet once more, and thought firmly, home. White light flashed again, and she landed steadily on her family's kong. She glanced at the wall clock. Only 1 hour had passed in her home timeline since she had first traveled to 2026. 1 hour here equaled nearly a full day over there. Her heart skipped a beat. That meant she could work over there every single day. She could not hold back a laugh. She had found a path to change her fate. She quickly hid the jeans and shirts deep inside her cabinet and thought about her next move. Her eyes fell on the wall calendar. Tomorrow was town market day when crowds gathered. She could try selling the jeans there. Exhausted from her strange, long day, she fell asleep resting her head on the table. When she woke the next morning, half her body was numb. Her arm, which she had slept on, ached and tingled badly. She winced as she stood up, shaking her arms and stamping her legs, then stepped outside the room. Her sister-in-law Qin Suehua had already cooked breakfast. Seeing Su Qiuyue come out, she huffed coldly and turned away to pour water without speaking. Su Qiuyue understood her feelings and did not try to start a conversation. She quickly set out bowls and chopsticks and called everyone to eat. The whole family sat around the table. The atmosphere was heavy after last night's incident. Everyone ate silently, no one talking. Breakfast was coarse grain congee pickled vegetables prepared by Qin Suehua. In winter there was little farm work. Villagers usually ate only 2 meals a day, a light morning meal, and dinner at around 3 in the afternoon. Stirring her congee, Su Qiuyue hesitated, then spoke. There is a big market in town today. I want to go. The nearby town was Qinghe Town, which held a large market on every 5th day of the lunar calendar cycle. As soon as she finished speaking, her 7-year-old younger sister Su Qirong shouted excitedly, "Take me with you. I want to go to the market too." Su Qirong was sharp-witted and known for leading groups of children in the village. Su Jianxi picked up some pickled vegetables with his chopsticks and looked toward Zhou Xiaofeng. "If Xiaoyu is going to town, give her some money." At those words, Qin Suihua slammed her chopsticks down hard on the table. "Father, can you stop showing favoritism? Can't you see how tight our household is? Check the rice jar. We barely have grain left. Why encourage her to waste money?" Su Dashin jumped to his feet and pointed angrily at Qin Suihua. "How dare you speak to father like that? It's his money. He can give it to whoever he wants. Mind your own business." Qin Suihua felt wronged. She was the outsider in this family. Nothing she said was ever right. Wiping away tears, she stormed outside. Su Qiuyue felt uneasy. She could not blame Qin Suihua for reacting this way. In the past, every time she went to town she had bought trivial girlish trinkets without thinking of the family's hardships. But this time was different. The weight of her siblings' unpaid school fees pressed heavily on her heart. She knew she needed to grow up and stop being so thoughtless. Gripping her chopsticks tightly, she made up her mind. This time she would prove herself to everyone. Su Qirong trotted over and clung tightly to Su Qiuyue's arm, shaking it back and forth as she begged. "Sister, please take me. I promise I won't misbehave." Su Qiuyue's heart sank. If she brought her little sister along, how could she sell the jeans? Everything would be exposed. She stroked Su Qirong's hair and spoke softly. "Honey, it's freezing outside. We're walking there. Your little legs won't keep up. You'll freeze. I'll bring you treats when I come back." Su Qirong pouted. Disappointed, but tempted by the promise of snacks, she went back to her kanji. After breakfast, Zhou Xiaofeng called Su Qiuyue into the inner room. She rummaged around and pulled out several crumpled small-denomination banknotes, pressing a total of 5 yuan into Su Qiuyue's hand. "This is all we have at home. Don't complain it's little. Spend it carefully." Su Qiuyue stared at the scattered money in her hand, her eyes turning red again. Poor as their family was, they had never treated her badly, always giving her the best they could afford. She clutched the money tight, looked up at her mother, and said earnestly, "Mom, don't worry. I won't spend this recklessly. I'll work hard to earn money and give you and Dad a good life." Zhou Xiaofeng looked at her daughter, feeling as if she had grown up overnight. Then she smiled to herself. What big money could a young girl possibly make? As long as she stayed safe and sound, that would be enough. Still, she replied, "All right. I'll wait to enjoy the good life my wear brings me." Back in her room, Su Qiuyue glanced at the wall-hung clock. It was already 7:30. People headed for the town market early. She had to hurry. She dug out those pairs of jeans, tied them into a cloth bundle, and slipped out of the house holding it close while no one was paying attention. Just as she reached the village entrance, she saw Zhang Daqiang, the village chief's son, chugging over on his tricycle. He made a living ferrying people between the village and the town. The 6-li trip cost 30 cents one way per passenger. Most villagers were willing to pay. Word had it he could earn dozens of yuan each month, making quite a few people jealous. Yet only the village chief's family could afford a tricycle. Others could only envy. From far away, Zhang Daqiang spotted Su Qiuyue standing under the tree with her bundle. Sunlight fell across her face, making her glow. Without her waving him down, he pulled to a stop right in front of her. His face flushed, and he spoke shyly. "Qiuyue girl, heading for town?" Su Qiuyue nodded. "Yes. There's a market today. I'm going to buy some things." Zhang Daqiang quickly patted the cargo bed. "Hop on. I'll give you a ride." She had already planned to take the tricycle, so she did not hesitate and climbed aboard. Several other villagers bound for the market were already sitting there, some carrying goods to sell. When the women in the cart saw Su Qiuyue get on, their eyes darted back and forth between her and Zhang Daqiang in the driver's seat, wearing knowing smiles. News traveled fast in this small village. Everyone knew their families were discussing a possible marriage between them. Zhang Daqiang's elder sister-in-law was also on the tricycle. Watching Su Qiuyue, she thought to herself, such a good match, 3,000 yuan betrothal gift and a big tile-roofed house. Any girl would be secretly delighted. She wanted to ask questions, but feared saying something improper, so her words turned into casual small talk. "Girl, are you going alone?" Why didn't your elder brother come along? He could help carry your things. Su Qiuyue smiled faintly. I'm just picking up some small personal items. They aren't heavy. I can manage by myself. But in her mind she thought, if my brother came, how would I sell these jeans? When they reached the town gate, the tricycle halted and everyone got off. Su Qiuyue pulled 30 cents from her pocket and held it out to Zhang Daqiang. Daqiang, here's the fare. Zhang Daqiang waved his hand at once, his face burning red. I can't take money from you. Put it away. Su Qiuyue pressed the coin firmly into his palm and smiled. This is your hard-earned money. If you won't take it, I'll feel too awkward to ride back with you later. With that, she turned and walked toward the market. Zhang Daqiang clutched the 30 cents, gazing at her retreating figure, his heart light and happy. Qiuyue was such a nice girl. She never took advantage of others and always thought of other people. His face reddened again as these thoughts ran through his head. Su Qiuyue first turned into the nearest public restroom and changed into one of the jeans she had brought. The tapering at the hip, flared at the ankle design accentuated her long, straight legs. As soon as she stepped back outside, she drew the stares of many young women and wives. One bold woman stepped forward. Comrade, those trousers look wonderful. Where did you get them? I've never seen a style like this at the supply and marketing cooperative. Su Qiuyue's heart leaped. This was exactly what she had hoped for. She leaned close to the woman and lowered her voice mysteriously. A classmate of mine brought these back from Hong Kong. You won't find anything like them around here. That's the big fashion trend over there right now. The woman pursed her lips in disappointment. Hong Kong, I'll never get there. Still, she could not resist running a hand over the trouser leg. They really are pretty. Those frayed edges are so stylish. Seizing her chance, Su Qiuyue lifted one corner of her cloth bundle and winked at her. If you really like them, I have a few more here. I originally planned to give them to relatives. If you don't mind, I could let you have one. The woman had not expected there would be more available for her to buy. Delighted, she said, that would be perfect. Let me see. Su Qiuyue led her to a less crowded spot, and curious onlookers followed them over. She set the bundle on the ground. The woman rummaged through the jeans, picked one in her size, held it up against herself, and grinned from ear to ear. She was reluctant to let go of the trousers, wondering how much they might cost. What if the price was too high? But these were goods from Hong Kong. No matter how expensive, she wanted them. She could just tighten her belt for a month. Then she asked, how much are you selling these for? Su Qiuyue held up 3 fingers. The woman was shocked. 300 yuan. Jeans at the supply and marketing cooperative only cost 50 yuan, and imported brands were no more than 100-odd yuan. She hesitated, but still could not bring herself to set the trousers down. Su Qiuyue felt confused. Was 30 yuan really too much? Ordinary street, stall trousers already cost 20 or 30 yuan. She tried to persuade her. 30 yuan is quite reasonable. These are from Hong Kong, after all. The woman stared in disbelief. Only 30? Goodness, I thought it was 300. I'll take one. She handed over 30 yuan and walked away happily, clutching her new jeans. Hearing the price, the surrounding crowd stirred with excitement. Such fashionable jeans for only 30 yuan. They would look great for New Year visits to relatives or blind dates. People started shoving money towards Su Qiuyue, afraid of missing out. Su Qiuyue pretended to hold back. These were meant as gifts for my relatives. I shouldn't really sell them. No one listened. They pressed money into her hands and picked out pairs for themselves. In mere minutes, all 6 pairs were sold out. Those who had not gotten any grabbed her arm and asked, "Girl, will you come back tomorrow? I want a pair too." Su Qiuyue counted the money in her hands. Exactly 180 yuan. She carefully tucked the cash into an inner pocket of her clothes and patted it. Thrilled, she could barely keep from grinning widely. Her school fees were now covered. Still, she needed a believable story to explain where the money had come from, otherwise her parents would worry themselves sick. She stuffed her old trousers into the bundle, straightened her clothes, and set off to wander the market. She planned to buy rice, cooking oil, and other daily necessities for the family. After browsing, she bought 20 jean of rice at 50 cents a jean, 5 jean of soybean oil at 2 yuan and 80 cents a jean, and 2 jean of pork belly at 1 yuan and 90 cents a jean. Altogether that cost 27 yuan and 80 cents, leaving her with 152 yuan and 20 cents. She mentally tallied things up. Her younger brother's school fees would be 70 yuan, and her younger sister's 20 yuan. That would still leave 60, 2 yuan and 20 cents. Remembering she had promised her sister a treat, she bought 1 jean of fruit candy and some exercise books for her brother. That cost 2 yuan and 20 cents, leaving exactly 60 yuan. She could not spend any more. The family needed emergency funds. 20 jean of rice would not last long for 7 people, and she could not carry more. She would ask her elder brother to buy more later. Carrying the sack of rice in one hand and oil plus other purchases in the other, Su Qiuyue walked toward the town gate. Zhang Daqiang's tricycle was parked by the roadside. As if his eyes were made for finding her, he spotted her amid the crowd and hurried over. He reached out and took the rice sack off her shoulder. "You bought so much. If you'd told me, I could have helped. You must be worn out." Su Qiuyue smiled and shifted the rice toward him. "Thank you, Daqiang, but 20 jean isn't heavy. I can manage." Zhang Daqiang loaded her purchases onto the cargo bed and helped her climb aboard. Once more passengers arrived, he started the tricycle and headed back to the village. In the back, Zhang Daqiang's sister-in-law eyed Su Qiuyue's jeans. The style looked very nice. "Qiuyue, are those new jeans you bought today? They must have cost a lot." An idea crossed Su Qiuyue's mind. This was a perfect chance to plant her story. With so many witnesses, her family would believe her later. All eyes turned to her trousers. People chimed in. "They really look good. So stylish, just like what you see on television. It helps that she's pretty. She looks good in anything." Then a sharp, sarcastic voice cut through the chatter. "Her family doesn't have money for clothes like that. Probably Daqiang bought them for her." The speaker was their neighbor Zhao Yufan. Zhang Daqiang's sister-in-law's expression darkened. Though the two families were discussing a marriage, nothing was settled. If the girl spent the man's money now, gossip would spread. Su Qiuyue's face turned cold. She fixed her gaze on Zhao Yufan. Their families had never gotten along. Zhao Yufan's daughter Li Xiuyun had once chased Su Qiuyue's elder brother Su Dashan, even offering to marry him without a betrothal gift. But Dashan had rejected her for being coarse and hot-tempered. Ever since then, Zhao Yufan had borne a grudge against the Su family. Su Qiuyue stood up, holding onto the tricycle's side, and looked down at Zhao Yufan, her voice clear and firm. "I paid for these myself. Even if I hadn't, it's none of your business. Mind your own affairs instead of sticking your nose into other people's." Zhao Yufan had never expected the normally quiet Su Qiuyue to be so sharp-tongued. Stunned, she pointed at her. You. She could not finish her sentence. Su Qiuyue rolled her eyes. "If you can't even speak properly, don't go out making a fool of yourself." Other villagers quickly tried to calm things down. "We're all from the same village. Let's not quarrel." Su Qiuyue sat back down and turned to Zhang Daqiang's sister-in-law. "A classmate brought these back from Hong Kong. It's the big fashion there. They weren't expensive, 30 yuan. Relieved they had not been bought by Daqiang, his sister-in-law smiled and praised them. 30 yuan is a fair price. Those frayed edges flatter your legs and make you look slimmer." Then another voice spoke up, sounding hesitant. "I thought I saw Qiuyue selling trousers at the market. Maybe I was mistaken." Su Qiuyue's eyes lit up. Just as she needed. She replied at once, with a hint of quiet pride in her tone. "You didn't imagine it. My classmate goes to university in Hong Kong and lives in Jinchuan City. She came to visit relatives here on holiday and brought along clothing she usually sells in the city. She had several pairs meant as gifts. I saw how nice the jeans were and asked if I could try selling a few of them." Zhang Daqiang's sister-in-law grew even more impressed. This girl was bold and enterprising. Judging by her happy expression, she must have sold quite a lot. Wanting a pair for herself, she said, "You're so capable, Qiuyue. I really like those trousers. Do you have another pair you could sell me?" Su Qiuyue shook her head. "I only got 7 total. I kept one to wear as a sample and the other 6 are all sold. Next time I'll ask my classmate. If she has more, I'll set one aside for you." Zhang Daqiang's sister-in-law nodded happily, clearly satisfied. The other passengers began talking among themselves. "That Su girl is really something. I used to think she was overly showy, but she can actually do business. You're right. Those trousers are lovely. I'd also like to buy a pair from her sometime." They chatted until the tricycle reached the village entrance. Fellow passengers helped Su Qiuyue lift the rice sack down. As usual, she tried to hand Zhang Daqiang the fare. He waved it away. "Qiuyue, I really don't want your money. That rice is heavy. Let me carry it home for you. Su Qiuyue glanced at him. Without saying a word, she bent down, hefted the rice sack onto one shoulder. She picked up the oil and other goods in her other hand and stood steady. See? I'm fine. You'd better get back to your work, Daqiang. With that she turned and walked toward home without looking back. When she was still some distance from the house, Su Dashan spotted her carrying her load and hurried out to meet her. He felt the sack. Rice. He knew how tight their household finances were. Where had his sister gotten money for rice? He dared not follow that line of thought. He took all the things from her and walked silently inside. He planned to question her in private. Pushing open the outer room door, he found Zhou Xiaofeng stoking the cooking fire. She saw the rice and oil in Su Dashan's hands, then looked at Su Qiuyue behind him. She pulled Su Qiuyue in front of her, full of worry. Where did you buy all these things? This morning I only gave you 5 yuan. Where did you get so much money? Su Qiuyue's elder sister, in-law Qin Zuihua, came out of the inner room. Her eyes swept over the rice and oil, then locked onto Su Qiuyue's jeans. She raised her voice sharply. Goodness, Mom. Look at her trousers. Those aren't the ones she left with this morning. What exactly was she doing in town? She even changed her clothes. Could it be that? She trailed off deliberately, covering her mouth, her eyes full of suspicion as she stared at Su Qiuyue. Su Dashan paid no attention to Qin Zuihua's insinuations. His mind was full of anxiety. He looked at Su Qiuyue urgently. Yue, Mom is asking you. Where did all this money come from? You even bought meat and candy. Su Qiuyue shot Qin Zuihua a sharp glare and snapped. If you can't speak properly, keep your mouth shut. She knew her sister-in-law worked hard for the family, but her tongue was truly unpleasant. She always jumped to the worst conclusions. Then she took Zhou Xiaofeng's hand and spoke gently. Mom, when I was at the market today, I ran into my junior high school classmate, Xiaoyan. Do you remember her? Zhou Xiaofeng was confused. Why bring up Xiaoyan when she was asking about money? Still she answered, I remember. Didn't her family move to Jinchuan City? Why are you talking about her all of a sudden? Confident her mother recalled the girl, Su Qiuyue kept spinning her story. She's studying at university in Hong Kong. She's in town visiting relatives and brought clothes she normally sells in Jinchuan. She had some extra meant as gifts for family here. I saw how nice those trousers were and asked if she could give me a few pairs to try selling. I got 7 from her. They sold so well. I wore one as a sample and the other 6 were snatched up right away. Su Dashan stared in astonishment. When had his little sister learned to do business? Zhou Xiaofeng still had not sorted it out. But where did you get the money to buy those trousers from her? Su Qiuyue explained patiently. Mom, she knows how hard up our family is. She let me take them on credit. I can pay her tomorrow. If sales go well, she'll bring me more stock. Just then the outer room door creaked open. Everyone turned their heads. Zhou Shirong, the woman who had seen Su Qiuyue selling trousers at the market, stepped inside. Seeing the house full of people, she smiled first. Everyone's home. I came looking for Qiuyue. Zhou Xiaofeng invited her to sit down. As soon as she was seated, Zhou Shirong stated her purpose. Qiuyue, are you going to get more of those trousers? If you do, please set one aside for me. She started pulling money out of her pocket. My daughter-in-law Ju is going on a blind date before the new year. I want her to have a nice new pair of trousers to look presentable. Hearing this, Zhou Xiaofeng finally relaxed. Her daughter was not lying. She really had earned the money selling trousers. Her wearer truly had grown up and was trying to support the family. Qin Zuihua, learning the money came from selling trousers, began hatching schemes in her mind. Su Qiuyue pressed Zhou Shirong's hand to stop her from taking out cash. Auntie, if I get more stock, I'll definitely save you a pair. Don't hand over the money now. We can settle it once the goods arrive. Privately, she felt uncertain. Would she find work if she traveled to 2026? If she earned nothing, she would have no capital for new stock. She would have to sneak away and check the situation later. Satisfied with the promise, Zhou Shirong praised Su Qiuyue for being sensible and capable. They chatted about village gossip for a while before she left happily. After seeing her guest out, Zhou Xiaofeng pulled Su Qiuyue onto the heated Kong and lowered her voice. How much profit did you make selling those trousers today? Su Qiuyue invented a purchase price. They cost 15 yuan each for me to buy. I sold them for 30. After deducting costs, I made a net profit of 90 yuan. 90 yuan? Zhou Xiaofeng clapped a hand over her mouth, barely holding back a gasp. 90 yuan in one day. 2 days of this would earn more than their whole household made in a year. She marveled at her daughter's courage. What if the trousers had not sold? How would they pay back the debt? She almost warned Suchio Yue to be careful. But then she thought about their miserable living conditions. Her own advice was not always wise. If she were so capable, their lives would already be better. She made up her mind not to discourage her daughter. Let her dare to try. She stroked Suchio Yue's cheek. My Yue has really grown up. You're so thoughtful. Suchio Yue nestled her head against her mother's chest. Don't worry, Mom. Today's earnings cover my younger brother and sister's school fees. Xiao Rong needs 20 yuan, day 70. Tomorrow I want to buy more stock. I should earn as much as I can while this chance lasts. Zhou Xiaofeng nodded. Go ahead and give it your best. Just promise me you'll stay safe. Suchio Yue lifted her head from her mother's embrace. Eager to travel to 2026 again, she tried to send her mother away. I'll be careful. You bought meat, so go figure out what we're having for supper. I'm worn out and want to rest a little. Zhou Xiaofeng tapped her forehead with a finger. All right, you little greedy girl. Don't spend money so freely next time. Once her mother left, Suchio Yue bolted her door, drew the curtains, changed into short, sleeved clothes and sandals. She sat on the Kong. She touched her bracelet and thought, take me to 2026. A flash of white light, and Suchio Yue found herself in the same restroom stall where she had left before. It seemed she would reappear in the exact spot she had departed from. She stepped out of the stall, fixed her appearance in the mirror. She headed for the film base following the same route as yesterday. She wondered if she could find work today. She hoped she might run into Lu Wenwen again. If they met, she would treat her to a meal this time. Her mind preoccupied with thoughts, she quickened her pace and soon arrived at the film and television base. She glanced around but saw neither Sister Zhou nor Lu Wenwen. She had no idea how to sign up for work, for she did not have an actor's permit. Disheartened, she walked over to an old locust tree, squatted down among the crowd. She listened closely to their conversations, hoping to pick up useful information. Just then someone tapped her lightly on the back. She turned around in confusion, and her gloomy face lit up with joy. Wenwen, she exclaimed in surprise. Lu Wenwen stepped up to her, affectionately taking her arm. I was just wondering if I'd run into you today, and here you are. Suchio, Yu's spirits lifted at once. Her eyes fell on Lu Wenwen's outfit. She was dressed in ancient costume with pearl hairpins in her hair. You look so beautiful today, she could not help saying. Lu Wenwen was working as a maid extra for a period drama film crew. Pleased by the compliment, she nevertheless said modestly, this is nothing. Wait till you see the female lead. Her robes are embroidered with gold thread, and she wears a kingfisher feather tiara. That's real beauty. Suddenly remembering something, she asked, by the way, what role are you playing today? Suchio, you pouted, her tone falling. I forgot my actor's permit again, so I haven't found any work. Lu Wenwen pressed one finger firmly against Suchio, Yu's forehead, half exasperated. You. How can you leave behind the thing that earns your living? Fine, wait right here. I'll go ask around to see if any crew needs more people. Suchio, you pressed her palms together gratefully. Wenwen, you're so good to me. Lu Wenwen wove through the crowd and checked with every crew member she knew. All the slots had been filled and scheduled the day before. Nobody needed extra hands. Disappointed, she trudged back. Then she heard a commotion ahead, mixed with a woman's furious voice. We were supposed to shoot today, and you were meant to be a featured extra. How dare you stand us up at the last minute? Where is your sense of professionalism? Lu Wenwen's eyes lit up. She pushed through the crowd and found the angry woman. It was Sister Zhou. From how furious she sounded, someone must have dropped out at the last second. This was exactly the chance they needed. She hurried forward with a smile. Sister Zhou, remember me? I was an extra for you yesterday. Sister Zhou was in a foul mood and assumed she was just another person trying to curry favor. She frowned impatiently. Spit it out. Don't waste my time. Lu Wenwen got straight to the point. I heard you're short-handed. I've got someone right here who can start immediately. The girl who forgot her actor's permit yesterday. You remember her, don't you? She's really pretty. Sister Zhou brightened at once. She had a clear impression of that girl, fair-skinned, tall and slim, perfect for a featured extra. Yes, I remember her. Her looks are just right. Send her over. Got it, I'll get her right away. Lu Wenwen sprinted back. Suchio, you had been mingling with the crowd, trying to learn more about this world. She was suddenly pulled aside. Looking up, she saw Lu Wenwen breathless from running. Work. With Sister Jo. You'll be a featured extra, so you'll get paid much more than yesterday. Warmth flooded Suchio, Yu's heart. This was her first real friend since arriving in this time. To be cared for so sincerely moved her, and her eyes stung. She stepped forward, took Lu Wenwen's hands, and looked straight into her eyes earnestly. Thank you, Wenwen. Once I get my pay, I'll treat you to dinner after work. Lu Wenwen felt awkward under her solemn gaze and rolled her eyes. Don't be so formal with me. Hurry up, Sister Jo is waiting. Lu Wenwen brought Suchio, Yu over to Sister Jo. They agreed to meet under the big locust tree after shooting ended. Then Lu Wenwen headed back to her own set. Sister Jo looked Suchio, Yu up and down, growing more satisfied. With that face and figure, she was ideal for a featured extra. Show me your actor's permit, and I'll take you to register, Sister Yo said, holding out her hand. Suchio, Yu's heart tightened. Afraid to admit she had forgotten it again, she lied and said she had lost it. Sister Jo rolled her eyes toward the sky in exasperation. Why don't you lose yourself too? If you lost it, go get a replacement right away. Do you have your ID card? Go apply for a new permit when you get a chance. Suchio, you did have an ID card. National ID cards had only been fully rolled out in 1989, and hers was newly issued with a nice photo. But she could not possibly show it. Her birth date was 1971. If she pulled that out, people would think she had lost her mind. In a small voice she said, I didn't bring my ID card either. Sister Jo sighed and pointed toward the dressing room nearby. I must owe you something. We're desperate for people today, so go get your hair and makeup done first. You're a featured extra with no lines. 240 yuan for the day. Suchio, you let out a quiet breath of relief. At least she had work for the day. Still, she realized she needed an actor's permit to keep working here, and the permit required an ID card. It felt like an impossible loop. She would focus on getting through today first and figure out the rest later. She thanked Sister Jo quickly. Thank you for giving me this chance. Rest assured, I'll bring everything next time. Sister Jo waved her off. Off you go. This was a modern-era shoot. Suchio, Yu's hair was set in big waves, and subtle makeup was applied. She was handed a cocktail dress and a pair of stiletto heels. Staring at her reflection in the mirror, she was lost in thought. She touched her curls gently, and the girl in the mirror copied the movement. She smiled at herself. Her naturally somewhat striking features were softened by makeup, and she hardly recognized the woman staring back. Makeup truly was magical. Hey you, quit admiring yourself. The makeup artist tapped on the table. We're done here. Move along, there are more people waiting. Embarrassed, Suchio, Yu smiled, gathered her skirt, and walked out. She had never worn high heels before. Walking felt like balancing on stilts. She stumbled the moment she stepped outside and nearly fell. Throwing her weight backward and forward, she flailed her arms until she steadied herself. She patted her chest in alarm. That had been a close call. She hated to think how much it would have hurt if she had crashed to the ground. Only then did she notice a strange man standing behind her. He had handsome, sharp, edged features. Suchio, Yu's role was that of a guest at an opulent dinner party. All she needed to do was wander around holding a wine glass and pretend to chat. The work was easy, though the heels rubbed her feet. But thinking of the 240 yuan pay, the discomfort hardly mattered. When the male and female leads walked onto set, Suchio, Yu realized the man she had nearly tripped in front of was none other than the male lead, Su Jing Ran. Shooting went surprisingly smoothly, and they wrapped early. Since they had not worked long hours, the crew did not provide meals. Suchio, Yu secretly regretted missing a free meal. She changed back into her own clothes in the dressing room, collected her cash payment at registration. She went to wait for Lu Wenwen under the old locust tree as planned. Again and again she touched her wavy hair, completely enchanted. She had only ever seen hairstyles like this on television and wall calendars. No one in her village permed their hair, and now here she was with that very look. After quite a while, Lu Wenwen came running over, clearly annoyed. The moment she saw Suchio, she started complaining. You have no idea how ridiculous my crew is today. The male and female leads didn't even memorize their lines. They relied entirely on prompts, and we kept retaking shots. Otherwise I would have finished ages ago. Suchio, Yu smiled and soothed her. You must be worn out. Come on, let's get something nice to eat, my treat today. Wow, being a featured extra has gone to your head. Watch me eat you out of house and home. Lu Wenwen joked and pulled Suchio Yue toward the market they had visited the day before. They wandered around the market, and Lu Wenwen suggested spicy hot pot. Since Su Qiuyue was treating, she went along with the idea. Lu Woman led her straight to her usual stall and picked ingredients with tongs. Su Qiuyue copied her, choosing items that looked appealing and ordering the same flavor. Once they had picked their food, Su Qiuyue rushed to pay. The total came to 26 yuan. Lu Wenwen laughed. No one is going to snatch the bill from you, slow down. When their spicy hot pot arrived, bright red oil glistened, and a rich aroma filled the air. Su Qiuyue had never smelled anything quite like it. After her first bite, she froze. It was fragrant and fiery hot. Every pore in her body seemed to relax. In her 18 years of life, she had eaten nothing but plain simple food. She had never imagined something could taste so wonderful and satisfying. It was completely different from the skewered food they had eaten the day before. Tears welled up unbidden in her eyes. It was not from the spice. The food was so delicious it made her feel as though all those hard years of her life had been wasted. Life in this later era really could be this good. Seeing tears spilling down Su Qiuyue's cheeks, Lu Wenwen quickly handed her a tissue, thoroughly confused. What's wrong? Why are you crying all of a sudden? Su Qiuyue wiped her eyes messily, her voice shaky. Nothing, the spicy hot pot is just so good. Lu Wenwen found that hard to believe. No one cried over spicy hot pot. She assumed Su Qiuyue had private troubles she did not want to talk about. She patted her shoulder gently. If you like it, eat lots. We can get another portion to take home and sip the broth later. Su Qiuyue laughed through her tears. She wished she could bring servings home for her family, but she had no way to explain where they had come from, so the thought had to be set aside. She shook her head. No. If you eat too much of something wonderful, you might stop appreciating it. Even as she spoke, she kept eating until every bit of food and all the broth in her bowl were gone. Lu Wenwen could see she had truly loved every mouthful. Ding! Lu Wenwen's phone chimed. It was her mother telling her to get home quickly, because her grandmother had come to visit. Lu Wenwen stood up. Wanting a way to stay in touch, she turned to Su Qiuyue. Let's add each other on WeChat. We can pass job opportunities to one another and keep in contact. Su Qiuyue hesitated and said nothing. Lu Wenwen stared in shock. Don't tell me you didn't bring your phone again? Su Qiuyue nodded and said quietly, I lost my phone, and I don't have enough money for a new one right now. Lu Wenwen held her forehead, at a loss whether to laugh or sigh. Then how did you collect your pay today? Did someone collect it for you again? They gave me cash at the registration desk. Lu Wenwen understood now. Su Qiuyue had paid for the meal in cash, and combined with her earlier tears, Lu Wenwen began to suspect her family might be in difficult circumstances. She wished she had not let Su Qiuyue pay. Are you heading back to the film and television base tomorrow? Lu Wenwen asked. Su Qiuyue nodded eagerly. All right. Meet me under the old locust tree tomorrow. Lu Wenwen grabbed her bag. My grandma is here, so I have to go. See you. After seeing Lu Wenwen off, Su Qiuyue headed straight for the jeans stall she had visited the day before. The shopkeeper recognized her at once. Seeing she was still wearing the jeans she had bought the previous day, she beamed. Aren't these great on you? Look how nice they fit. Want to check out some new styles? Fresh stock just arrived today, I'm sure you'll love them. She pulled out piles of different jeans from under the counter and spread them out in front of Su Qiuyue. Su Qiuyue flipped through them, but still liked the flare-leg style she was wearing best. She mentally tallied her money. 15 yuan left over from the day before, plus 240 yuan earned today. Minus 26 yuan for dinner, she had 229 yuan remaining. I'll take 10 pairs of this exact style, she said firmly. Delighted, the shopkeeper's eyes crinkled. 10 pairs. You're such a great customer. I'll throw in 2 silk scarves to go with them. The scarves were a cheap goodwill gesture. The jeans had been bought cheaply by weight in Guangzhou, so the cost was low. Gifting scarves helped win repeat customers, a good deal for her. Both sides were satisfied. Carrying 2 large bags of jeans, Su Qiuyue went into a restroom stall and traveled back to 1989. She landed safely on her brick-built Kong bed, changed back into her flowery cotton-padded jacket, and lay down. Tiredness from the whole day washed over her, and her eyes grew heavy. She fell asleep. A knock roused her in a daze. It was Su Qirong's voice. Sister, time for dinner. She sat up and glanced at the wall clock. She had slept the whole afternoon. She unlatched the door. The rich smell of braised pork hit her the moment she stepped outside. Su Qiuyue's eyes lit up. Braised pork. The whole family was already seated, her parents, her eldest brother and his wife, and her younger siblings. No one had started eating. They had waited for her. Once Su Qiuyue sat down, Su Jianxi spoke. Let's eat. She picked up her bowl, took a big mouthful of rice, then bit into a chunk of braised pork, closing her eyes in contentment. She could hardly remember the last time she had eaten her mother's braised pork. It tasted wonderful. "Mom, this braised pork is amazing," she praised Zhou Xiaofeng. Zhou Xiaofeng piled more meat into Su Qiuyue's bowl, smiling. "Eat it then. Such a sweet talker, even food can't shut you up." Su Qirong ate happily, her eyes shining as she looked at her older sister. "Sister, the meat you bought is so tasty." Su Qiuyue ruffled her hair. "It's Mom's wonderful cooking." "Yes, Mom is the best cook." Su Qirong nodded vigorously. Qin Suihua snorted softly beside them and muttered, "Big and little, all you know how to do is flatter people." Annoyed by her sarcasm, Su Qirong puffed out her cheeks and glared. "Then don't eat the meat my sister bought. She also bought candy, so don't touch that either." Qin Suihua stuffed a big piece of braised pork into her mouth and chewed noisily, lifting her chin defiantly. "I'm eating food Mom cooked, not meat your sister bought. Mind your own business, kid." Su Qiuyue shot Qin Suihua a cold glance, her smile never reaching her eyes. "Eat if you want, or put your chopsticks down. Don't pick fights." Su Dashan also gave Qin Suihua a disapproving look. She was always stirring up trouble. Su Jieshi tapped the table and frowned. "Everyone be quiet and eat. Anyone who doesn't want to eat can leave the table." Afraid of making her father-in-law angrier, Qin Suihua shrank back and bowed her head over her rice, not daring to say another word. After dinner, Su Qiuyue went to her room, took out exercise books for her younger brother Su Dai, and called him over. "These are for you. I picked them up at the market. The paper is thick so ink won't bleed through. Don't write on both sides anymore, keep the reverse pages for rough work." Su Dai had no idea his school fees were already covered. Lately he had been gloomy, staying cooped up in his room and hardly speaking. He took the books listlessly. "I don't even know if I'll get to use these." Annoyed by his defeated attitude, Su Qiuyue tapped the back of his head lightly. "Quit moping like that." She pulled out a stack of banknotes and waved them in front of him. "Look at this. Enough for your and Qirong's school fees. Study hard over winter break, borrow 7th grade textbooks, and preview lessons." Staring at the money, Su Dai's eyes went wide. Grinning in disbelief, he asked, "Really, sister? Where did you get all this?" Then a thought struck him, and he hesitated. "Is this bride price money?" He got another light tap on the back of his head. He rubbed it, looking aggrieved. "Why hit me again?" "I hit you for letting silly thoughts fill your head." Su Qiuyue glared at him. "I earned this myself. Your only job is to study hard. Don't worry about anything else. Off you go." Clutching his new exercise books, Su Dai bounded out, nearly running into the doorframe. Su Qiuyue watched his retreating figure and sighed softly. She had turned 18 that year. She had dropped out after junior high. She had been a good student, but their family could not afford 3 children's schooling, so she had voluntarily given up her spot for her younger brother and sister. To her mind, education was the only way for rural kids to change their fate. Her brother was bright, and she would do whatever it took to make sure he kept studying. Presently Su Jieshi pushed open her door. Zhou Xiaofeng had told him about his daughter's business. He sat down on the kang, rubbing his hands together with guilt. "Well, I hear you've been doing business out in town. It's father's fault you have to go out and earn money as a young girl." Su Qiuyue walked over and patted his shoulder like an adult. "Father, don't say that. We're family. There is no yours and mine between us." She tried to lighten the mood. "Besides, I do my share of work around home. It's only right I contribute to the family too." Su Jianxi looked at his daughter's upright bearing, his heart a mix of sorrow and warmth. She had truly grown up, bold and enterprising, just like him. "All right. You've had a long day. Get some rest." He closed the door gently as he left. Watching her father's back, Su Qiuyue's eyes stung. He was barely in his 40s, yet worry for the family had turned half his hair gray, making him look well past 50. She clenched her fists, resolving to work even harder so her parents could live better lives. Full of hope for the future, Su Qiuyue fell into a deep sleep. She woke early the next morning. When she opened her door, breakfast was already ready, plain congee and pickled vegetables. She ate a few quick mouthfuls, hurried back for her jeans. She set 2 pairs aside at home, one for eldest brother's wife and one for Zhou Shirong, whom she would give them to when Zhou Shirong came back from town. She folded the remaining 8 pairs neatly into a cloth bundle and put on a new pair for display. She slung the bundle over her shoulder and stepped outside. There was no more need to hide what she was doing. As she pushed open the outer room door, she found Su Qirong squatting right outside. The little girl looked up at her pleadingly. "Sister, take me with you today. I can help sell jeans. I'm good at talking to people." Su Qiuyue shook her head firmly. Even though selling jeans was no longer a secret, her sister was too young. The town was crowded, and with the new year drawing near, there were rumors of child snatchers. If she got busy selling goods, something terrible could happen to Qirong. She would not take that risk. She pulled out 20 cents and pressed it into Su Qirong's hand. "I'm too busy today. I have other things to attend to. Next time I'll take you along, okay? Go buy yourself a snack at the general store." Su Qirong's dejection vanished the second she saw the money. "Got it, sister. Don't worry about things at home." She clutched the coin and scampered off happily. 20 cents was quite a lot of pocket money for a child. It was rarely given except for festivals. Su Qiuyue shook her head, smiling at how quick-changing her little sister was. Kids really were something. When she reached the village entrance, Zhang Daqiang's truck pulled up right beside her. Seeing Su Qiuyue carrying a cloth bundle just like the day before, he remembered what his sister-in-law had told him, that Su Qiuyue was running a small business now. He looked at her with growing admiration. Qiuyue was really capable. He jumped down from the truck and flashed a broad grin showing his white teeth. "Qiuyue girl, heading into town again today? Hop on." Su Qiuyue nodded and murmured a soft humming sound, then climbed onto the truck bed. The village was small, and word of Su Qiuyue selling trousers had already spread far and wide. Someone riding in the truck bed grew curious and called out to her. "Qiuyue, are those trousers you're selling the same ones you've got on? They look so fashionable. Let us have a look." Su Qiuyue untied her bundle and took out a pair of trousers to hand over. The villagers crowded around at once. Some stroked the fabric, others held them up against their bodies to try the fit, chattering non-stop with praise. "They look really nice. The cut flatters the figure. Xiao Rong told me yesterday these are goods from Hong Kong." "Wow, Hong Kong. That's a long way away." "That's right. I've heard Hong Kong is right by the sea. It must be beautiful." After everyone had finished looking, they handed the trousers back, their eyes full of envy. They truly were nice looking, but they had heard each pair cost 30 yuan. Most of them were getting on in years and simply could not bring themselves to spend that much money. The truck soon arrived at the town gate. Su Qiuyue jumped down, pressed the fare into Zhang Daqiang's hand, and said, "Daqiang, here's the fare." Without waiting for him to refuse, she turned and hurried off. She reached town at about the same time as the previous day. She went straight to her old spot, afraid customers who had failed to buy trousers yesterday would not find her if she moved. She had barely squatted down, spread out her cloth wrap, and laid out the trousers when a woman's voice rang out in happy surprise. "It really is you. I came hoping I might run into you, and here you are." Su Qiuyue lifted her head following the voice. It was the young woman who had not managed to buy trousers the day before, the one who had asked her to set a pair aside if she got more stock. She pointed at the trousers on the ground. "These are new arrivals. Take your pick." The young woman squatted down, rummaged through the pile, found a pair in her size, held them up against herself, and promptly handed Su Qiuyue 30 yuan. "I'll take this pair." After paying, she seemed to remember something and asked, "I told my friend about these trousers yesterday, but she wouldn't believe how good-looking they are. I'm going to show her these right away. Will you still be here later? If she likes them, I'll bring her over to buy one." Su Qiuyue dared not make any promises. It all depended on how fast her stock sold out. She told her honestly, "I can't say for sure. I'll leave once everything is sold. But if I get more stock in the next few days, I'll come to the same spot." The girl nodded, picked up her new trousers, and walked off with light, happy steps. Su Qiuyue stood up, paced in front of her stall, cupped her hands around her mouth, and started calling out to passers-by. "Come one, come all. Hong Kong-style jeans, trendy styles you won't find anywhere else. Come take a look." Her shouts worked wonders. Coupled with her good figure and pretty face, several people gathered around her stall in no time. The onlookers stared at the jeans Su Qiuyue wore. The more they looked, the more tempted they grew. They lengthened the legs and flattered the figure. Best of all, the style was fresh. Anyone wearing them would surely stand out. "Miss, how much are these trousers?" Su Qiuyue smiled and replied, 30 yuan a pair. Goods from Hong Kong. You won't find anything like them anywhere around here." A woman carrying a vegetable basket curled her lip hearing the price. 30? That's awfully expensive. Even so, her hand stayed firmly on the jeans, unwilling to let go. Su Qiuyue was not annoyed. She explained patiently. Sister, go check other stalls. Their prices range from 30 to 50. If you bought these at the supply and marketing cooperative, they would start at 50 yuan at the very least. Most importantly, walk all over this town. Where else will you find trousers as fashionable as these? The woman saw the sense in her words. She gritted her teeth, pulled 30 yuan from her pocket, and handed it over. Give me one pair. Su Qiuyue took the money and gestured toward the pile of trousers. Pick whichever you like. They're all new stock. Seeing someone make a purchase, the other onlookers lost their hesitation. The new year was drawing near, and everyone needed new clothes. Rather than buying old, fashioned, overpriced garments, they would rather get something stylish. Within minutes, 8 pairs of trousers had all been sold. Su Qiuyue folded her cloth wrap neatly, tucked it into her pocket, and began counting her earnings. 240 yuan. Added to the 60 yuan left over from the day before, she had a total of 300 yuan. Her tuition fees were fully covered. She decided not to buy anything today and head straight home. She still had 2 pairs of trousers to deliver to people in the village. She walked toward the town gate. Zhang Daqiang's truck was there, though he himself was nowhere in sight. Su Qiuyue climbed onto the truck bed. It was still early, and most passengers had not yet returned. Before long, Zhang Daqiang came back. Seeing her on the truck, he hurried over to chat. Qiuyue girl, you've sold everything already? Su Qiuyue nodded with a smile. I only brought a small quantity today, so I finished early. Daqiang, where have you been? Zhang Daqiang scratched his head, looking slightly embarrassed. I brought some home, raised eggs and hazel mushrooms from home. I just sold them at the market. Su Qiuyue grew interested. How much do you sell your eggs for? 15 cents apiece. People jump at them as soon as they hear they are free-range eggs. And the hazel mushrooms, we picked them ourselves on the hills in our spare time. 6 yuan a jean. Zhang Daqiang rattled on eagerly when he saw her interest. Su Qiuyue nodded. That was a decent way to earn money. Many families in the village with more chickens than they could feed took extra eggs to town to sell. Still, the price for hazel mushrooms surprised her. 6 yuan a jean was quite high. She would ask her mother later whether they had any stored at home. Villagers returning from town began to pile onto the truck carrying their purchases. Once everyone was aboard, Zhang Daqiang started the engine and headed back to the village. When they reached the village entrance, Su Qiuyue jumped down, handed over the fare, and walked toward home. She pushed open the outer room door. Qin Suihua was washing clothes beside the stove. At the sound of her entry, she did not lift her head and turned her face away. Su Qiuyue chose not to argue with her and went straight to her own room. She pulled out 2 pairs of socks hidden under the cabinet and 2 silk scarves given to her as a gift when she bought jeans the other day. She took the socks and scarves over to Zhou Xiaofeng's room. The door stood ajar. Inside, Zhou Xiaofeng sat on the king stitching cotton-lined shoes. Mother, Su Qiuyue called. Zhou Xiaofeng looked up and gestured toward the warm end of the king. You must be cold. Come sit up here and warm yourself. Su Qiuyue took off her shoes and climbed onto the king. She pulled out the socks and scarves from her clothing and held them out. Mother, these are for you. New socks, 1 pair for you and 1 for father. Zhou Xiaofeng took the socks and examined them. They were nylon, smooth to the touch. These must have cost quite a bit. Why waste money on such things? My old socks are still wearable. She tried to hand them back. You keep them for yourself. At my age, it makes little difference what I wear. Su Qiuyue's heart ached noticing the heavily patched socks on her mother's feet. She pushed the socks back toward her. They did not cost much. I have several pairs for myself. You and father should have these. They will be perfect for the new year. Seeing how insistent her daughter was, Zhou Xiaofeng stopped refusing. Su Qiuyue then pulled out the silk scarves. This scarf is for you. I went to deliver trouser money to Xiaoyan today, and she gave it to me. She said it is not worth much. Her supplier gave her several as free gifts. She told this half-truth so her mother would not turn it down. The scarves had indeed been free gifts from the merchant, so she was not lying. Zhou Xiaofeng's eyes lit up the moment she saw the scarf. Such scarves were very fashionable that year, yet expensive and of no practical use for food or clothing. Few women in the village could bring themselves to buy one. The previous month Dogden's wife had brought one with her when she married. She wore it constantly, parading around the village several times each day. At first others had admired it and crowded around to touch it. After a while, everyone realized she was just showing off and paid her little attention. Zhou Xiaofeng stroked the scarf carefully, then set it down. Yue, you wear it. I should not. It would look silly on someone my age. Seeing her mother clearly liked it yet refused it out of modesty, Su Qiuyue feigned a stern expression. Mother, you are not old at all. You are only in your 40s, still full of life. This is the first gift I have ever given you. If you refuse it, I shall be cross. Zhou Xiaofeng laughed at her daughter's mock annoyance. She knew this was her girl's way of caring for her. At last she nodded. Very well. Since it comes from my daughter's heart, I will accept it. She picked up the scarf, tied it around her neck in front of the mirror, and turned towards Su Qiuyue. Do I look nice? You look wonderful. That scarf makes you look 10 years younger. Su Qiuyue praised warmly. Zhou Xiaofeng smiled, wrinkles crinkling at the corners of her eyes. Mother and daughter chatted for a while. Then Su Qiuyue took the second scarf and walked out to the outer room. Qin Suihua had just finished washing clothes and was wiping her hands with a cloth. Seeing Su Qiuyue approach, she turned to walk away. Elder, sister-in-law, why do you run off every time you see me? Su Qiuyue called after her. Qin Suihua thought Su Qiuyue had come to pick a quarrel. She rolled up her sleeves ready to retort, only to catch sight of the silk scarf in Su Qiuyue's hand. Her eyes went wide. Then she curled her lip. What? Come to show off to me. Seeing her reaction, Su Qiuyue stopped teasing her and pressed the scarf into her hands. It's for you. Something trendy from Hong Kong. You won't find anything like it around here. Qin Suihua held the smooth silk scarf in stunned disbelief. Could Su Qiuyue really be this kind-hearted? Since marrying into the Su family, Qin Suihua kept the household running. Though sharp-tongued, Su Qiuyue recognized how much she contributed to the family. If she had been in Qin Suihua's position, tending to her parents-in-law while also looking after a lazy young sister-in-law, she would have felt resentful too. Qin Suihua spoke uncertainly. This is really for me? Su Qiuyue raised an eyebrow playfully. Don't you want it? I'll take it back then. She reached out as if to retrieve it. I want it. Qin Suihua pulled it quickly away and tucked it inside her clothing. Once given to me, it's mine. Don't try to take it back. With that, she hurried back to her own room as if fleeing. Inside, Su Dashan sat cross-legged on the kang shelling corn. He frowned as his wife burst in stirring up clouds of dust. Why are you running indoors? You're getting dust everywhere. Their house had an earthen floor. Sweeping always raised dust, and they normally sprinkled water to settle it. Qin Suihua paid no mind. She held up the scarf like a treasure and sat down beside him on the king. Guess who gave me this? Su Dashan barely glanced up. Who else but Xiao Yu? Qin Suihua punched him lightly on the arm. How did you guess right away? Who else in this family could afford such a thing? Even if someone had money, they would never waste it on this. It hardly takes any guessing. Su Dashan twisted an ear of corn slowly between his fingers. Besides, no one else would give you something like this. Qin Suihua stroked the scarf, still puzzled. What has gotten into her all of a sudden? Why is she giving me gifts? Su Dashan rolled his eyes and pretended to snatch the scarf away. You are never satisfied even when someone gives you gifts. If you don't want it, I'll take it to mother. Qin Suihua quickly tied the scarf around her neck to keep it out of his reach. It was given to me, so it belongs to me. Su Dashan laughed at her reaction. You ought to treat Wei better from now on. Stop being so unpleasant toward her. Look how nice she is to you. Go ask around the whole village, who else has a scarf from Hong Kong. Qin Suihua waved her hand impatiently. I know. Stop going on about it. Meanwhile, Su Qiuyue wrapped 2 pairs of trousers in her cloth bundle to deliver to villagers. Zhou Shirong's home stood at the edge of the village, and Zhang Daqiang's house lay near the center. She decided to go to Zhou Shirong's first. The village was small. A few minutes' walk along the field paths brought her to the courtyard gate. Wang Chunju, Zhou Shirong's daughter, was hanging laundry in the yard. Wiping her hands on her apron, she smiled and hurried forward. Xiao Yue, you're here. It's cold outside. Come on in. She took Su Qiuyue by the arm and led her inside. Only Zhou Shirong was at home. Seeing her guest, she patted the edge of the kang. Come sit and warm yourself. The kang is freshly heated. Su Qiuyue sat down and set her bundle on the kang. She untied it. Auntie, here's the pair I set aside for Sister Ju. Let her try them on and see if they fit. When Wang Chuanju saw the jeans spread out before her, she could hardly tear her eyes away. They were far more beautiful than her mother had described. She had not believed her mother's account yesterday, thinking their tastes differed greatly. Now she saw how stylish the trousers really were. She picked them up, held them against her body, took off her outer trousers and pulled on the new jeans. She turned back and forth before the old mirror leaning against the wall. The trousers fitted her perfectly, making her look neat and sharp. She could not stop smiling with satisfaction. Zhou Shirong was delighted to see how much her daughter liked them. She pulled 30 yuan from her pocket and handed it over. "Thank you for going out of your way to bring these over, Qiu Yue." Su Qiu Yue took the money and replied politely, "No need to thank me, auntie. We are all neighbors in the same village." She smiled and praised Wang Chuanju. "Sister Ju has such a nice figure. These trousers suit you perfectly and make you look even more spirited." Wang Chuanju blushed and waved her hands shyly. "It is these trousers. They have such a great cut and are so fashionable." They chatted about daily life for a little longer. Then Su Qiu Yue stood up to take her leave. "I have another delivery to make, so I must go now. Please come visit my home whenever you have time, Auntie and Sister Ju." Mother and daughter walked her out to the courtyard gate. Su Qiu Yue set off toward Zhang Daqiang's house with light steps. Zhang Daqiang was wiping his tricycle in the yard. When he spotted her in the distance, the cloth slipped from his hands onto the ground. He hurried forward. "Qiu Yue girl, what brings you here?" Su Qiu Yue rarely visited other people's homes and mostly stayed indoors. This was her first time coming to his house. Zhang Daqiang's heart thumped fast. Could she have come specially to see him? His face grew warm and flushed at the thought. Su Qiu Yue lifted her bundle. "I've come to deliver the trousers for your sister-in-law." Zhang Daqiang's light faded. So she had come for his sister-in-law. He pushed his private thoughts aside and stepped aside to let her pass. "She is inside. Please come in." He led Su Qiu Yue into the west room. Zhang Daqiang's mother and his elder brother's wife sat on the kang watching television. Hearing the noise, both women turned their heads. Seeing Zhang Daqiang and Su Qiu Yue walk in, Zhang Daqiang said quickly, "Sister-in-law, Qiu Yue has brought your trousers." Then he turned and left the room. Zhang Daqiang's mother had never thought highly of Su Qiu Yue. In her eyes, Su Qiu Yue avoided farm work and household chores. What sort of daughter-in-law would she make? Every other woman in the village worked in the fields. Only she acted spoiled. Still, seeing how fond her son was of her, she had relented. They could afford one less pair of hands working. Months had passed since the matchmaker's first visit, yet Su Qiu Yue's family still gave no answer. Was she holding out for a higher bride price? Better housing? Or something else? Was she playing hard to get? With his tricycle and 3-room tile house, any other girl would have accepted the proposal long ago. Her smile faded, though she still greeted her guest. "Qiu Yue, come sit on the kang. The ground is cold." Su Qiu Yue sat down on the edge of the kang. Zhang Daqiang's sister-in-law leaned forward eagerly. "Have you brought the trousers?" Su Qiu Yue nodded and took the pair out of her bundle. "Sister-in-law, take a look. New arrival, exactly like the ones I am wearing." Zhang Daqiang's sister-in-law held them up against herself, her face bright with joy. "They are lovely. Wait here, I will get your money." She climbed down from the kang and went to her own room. Only Su Qiu Yue and Zhang Daqiang's mother remained. Zhang Daqiang's mother looked her up and down and spoke slowly. "Qiu Yue, you are 18 already. You will turn 19 after the new year. When I was your age, I was already carrying Daqiang." Su Qiu Yue understood immediately. She was being pressed about marriage. She smiled and spoke in a light tone. "How fortunate you were, Auntie. I am the sort of person who cannot stay idle. My small business is just getting started. I want to earn as much money as I can while the opportunity lasts." Zhang Daqiang's mother grew angry. That was a clear refusal. She was about to press the subject further when her daughter-in-law returned holding the money. She handed 30 yuan to Su Qiu Yue. "Count it, Qiu Yue." "Exactly 30. Su Qiu Yue stuffed the money into her pocket and smiled. "No need to count. I know you would not short-change me." She climbed down from the kang, smoothed her clothes, and said to the two women, "I must be off. Please drop by my home whenever you are free." Zhang Daqiang's mother merely hummed and did not stand. His sister-in-law walked Su Qiu Yue out of doors. Zhang Daqiang was no longer in the yard. "Come visit us when you have spare time," the sister-in-law said, waving. Su Qiu Yue nodded. "You go back inside. It is cold out here." She set off walking home. A few minutes later, she spotted someone hurrying toward her. It was Gooden. Gooden was her elder brother Su Dashan's friend. He liked gossip and hanging about, though he was not bad-hearted. Curious to see him in such a frantic rush, Su Qiuyue stepped in his path. Gooden, what is the hurry? Where are you running off to? Gooden panted heavily and pointed toward the west end of the village. Something big has happened at Widow Li's place. A crowd has gathered over there. Hearing of the commotion, Su Qiuyue's curiosity flared. What is going on? Don't make things up. Gooden gasped for breath. Your brother told me about it. It is definitely true. I'm hurrying over to watch. Are you coming? We will miss most of it if we are late. Su Qiuyue let out a breath of relief. Her brother had only been the one spreading the news, not involved in the incident itself. She nodded quickly. Yes, let's go. News spread fast in the village. Many villagers had already heard rumors and were heading over to see what was happening. More and more people joined them along the path. Soon they reached Widow Li's courtyard. Widow Li was just over 30. She had fair skin, a round face, and a little plump build, the kind of appearance village elders thought brought good fortune. Her late husband had driven a tractor for the village and had earned a decent income. He had died in an accident a few years earlier, leaving her a sizable compensation payment. Instead of returning to her birth family, where her useless younger brother would certainly squander her money, she had chosen to stay and live comfortably in the village. She simply rented out her family's land, bringing in another source of income, and she no longer farmed. With this money, she could live comfortably for the rest of her life, and many villagers envied her. Some nosy folks asked her, "Are you planning to find another man?" Widow Li seemed very pragmatic. Why remarry? Would she become a servant for someone? Chances were the man would only be after her savings. She could end up losing both her heart and her money. It would not be worth it. Still, what she said out loud was, "Alas, I still cannot let go of my late husband. I won't look for anyone else. No one can compare to him." Once word spread, everyone sighed and praised her as a devoted, good woman. If it were any other woman, she would have remarried long ago. As Su Qiuyue stepped into the yard, she saw it packed with people in an uproar. Su Qiuyue and Gooden pushed their way through the crowd. At the center stood Widow Li and a man she did not recognize. Widow Li's hair was messy, and the buttons on her cotton, padded jacket were fastened incorrectly. Tears dripped steadily onto the ground as she stayed silent. Beside her stood the man, wearing faded canvas work clothes. His face flushed red, and he stretched out an arm to shield Widow Li. Several meddlesome women were the loudest in the yard. They planted their hands on their hips and shouted at the two of them, speaking bluntly, "You shameless woman. You cannot uphold decency as a widow and bring a man home in broad daylight. This is disgraceful. You bring shame on our whole village. Take them to the police station. Let the cadres judge this." Su Qiuyue spotted her elder brother Su Dashan pushing through the front of the crowd at once. She quickly grabbed his arm and tilted her head to whisper, "Brother, what's going on? Did they really catch them? Tell me quickly." Gooden also moved closer, eager to hear the full story. Su Dashan glanced at his younger sister, lowered his voice, and explained everything from start to finish. What else? They really were caught red-handed. This man has been coming to our village to sell goods for a while. He's been seeing Widow Li secretly. Today, the two of them were talking inside the house when a neighbor dropped by and pushed the door open. They were trapped with nowhere to run. The whole yard saw everything. There's no way to deny it. Su Qiuyue was greatly shocked. She looked toward the center of the crowd again. Judging by their appearances, there was no denying what had happened. When the commotion reached its peak and everyone prepared to drag the pair to the village committee, Widow Li suddenly lifted her head. With reddened eyes, she shouted, "I am with him. I've endured enough years as a widow. I want to build a life with him." The man beside her immediately spoke up in a rough yet firm voice, "I want to marry her. This is no casual fling. We want to live honest lives together." Su Qiuyue was stunned by Widow Li's words. It turned out her sensible outlook was all for show. Not long ago, she claimed she would live well relying on her own savings alone, yet now she intended to settle down with a man. Her remark silenced the yard for a split second before triggering an even bigger stir. She really has no sense of propriety. Still, Widow Li has led a pitiful life all these years as a widow. Widow Li was good-looking, and many women in the village had always viewed her warily, fearing she would draw their husband's attention. Now that she had a man of her own, some felt relieved and began chiming in. It's only natural for a woman whose husband passed away to seek companionship. They haven't stolen or harmed anyone. If they want to be together, who does it hurt? That's right. People criticize those with living spouses for straying, but her husband is gone. Truly, she has struggled all these years alone. The ruckus went on for a long time before the village party secretary arrived. Seeing the two were determined to stay together, he could not simply label their conduct improper. Finally, in front of everyone gathered in the yard, he made a decision. If you want to be together, do it openly following proper customs. Send matchmakers, complete official registration, and stop sneaking around and disgracing the village. The man nodded at once. Widow Lee wiped away her tears, acknowledging their relationship before the entire village. With no more spectacle to watch, the onlookers dispersed gradually, still muttering criticisms and gossip. Su Qiuyue remained rooted to the spot, lost in thought. Su Dashin tugged her arm. Let's head home. They've acknowledged each other. They're officially courting now. No need to linger and watch. Right before the yard gate closed, Su Qiuyue glanced back. Widow Lee and the man stood inside the house. Though disheveled, they no longer tried to hide. Su Qiuyue sighed to herself. She hoped the man would treat her well and that Widow Lee would keep tight hold of her savings. When the two arrived home, Su Dashin said nothing and went straight to his room. Su Qiuyue wandered through the main room and side chambers but could not find Su Qirong or Su Dave. She paused and looked around. Qin Suehua leaned against the doorframe. Seeing Su Qiuyue pacing about, she softened her tone and spoke first. What are you searching for? Where are Qirong and Dave? Su Qiuyue asked quietly. Qin Suehua rarely gave her a friendly look. That boy from the Zhang family called them over this morning to watch television at their house. Su Qiuyue nodded and walked back to her small room. She bolted the door, drew the curtains, took off her cotton trousers, and changed into a short, sleeved shirt, jeans, and sandals. She had traveled to the year 2026. After using the public restroom, she pulled money out of her pocket and counted it. She only had 29 yuan left. She sighed. Even though she had earned some money in 1989, her situation in this era remained unstable. Without an ID card, she had no idea whether she could find work that day, and anxiety weighed on her. Following her memory, she headed toward the film and television base. She wandered through the crowd but saw no sign of Lu Wenwen, so she walked straight to the old locust tree and squatted down silently. Qiuyue! A clear voice rang out from afar. Lu Wenwen spotted her and ran over, waving her hand, carrying 2 cups of Mishue ice cream drinks. When she reached Su Qiuyue, she pulled 1 cup from the bag and handed it over. It's sweltering out. Have this to cool down. Su Qiuyue took the icy drink, her eyes lighting up. She inserted the straw and took a big sip, instantly feeling refreshed. Thank you so much, Wenwen. Lu Wenwen waved her hand and squatted beside her. No need to be polite with me. She genuinely cherished Su Qiuyue as a friend. Quiet, sincere, and straightforward, Su Qiuyue clicked well with her, and Lu Wenwen naturally wanted to look after her. As she spoke, she rummaged in her pocket and pulled out a second-hand smartphone, pressing it into Su Qiuyue's hands. Here, it's for you. Su Qiuyue stared at the phone in shock. For me. While she was still unfamiliar with many things in 2026, she knew what mobile phones were. She had heard even the cheapest ones cost more than 1,000 yuan. She could not possibly accept such an expensive item. She quickly tried to hand it back, speaking anxiously. This costs too much. I can't take it. Ignoring her refusal, Lu Wenwen pushed the phone back into her palm. Just keep it. It's my old spare. Nobody would buy it if I tried to sell it. I'd only get a cheap stainless steel basin in exchange. Don't mind that it's second hand. Then she took a charger out of her pocket and handed it over. This is the charger. I fully charged it, and there's no lock screen password. You can turn it on and have a look. Realizing she could not turn down the kindness, Su Qiuyue clutched the phone tightly. She resolved that she must repay this friendship someday. She copied Lu Wenwen's motion, gently swiped upward on the screen. The screen lit up, revealing the home interface. Words were labeled beneath each icon: WeChat, Douyin, Taobao, Pinduoduo. By the way, I put a SIM card inside. It came free with my home broadband package. I know you lost your previous phone. This card comes with data and free call minutes. Use it temporarily until you get your original card replaced. Life is so inconvenient without WeChat. Lu Wenwen reminded her thoughtfully. Warmth flooded Su Qiuyue's heart. She could not hold back and hugged Lu Wenwen. You are far too kind to me. I almost want to stay by your side forever to repay you. Lu Wenwen shuddered at her words and laughed as she pushed her away. Stop being so dramatic. Now we can finally add each other on WeChat. Lu Wenwen took the phone and opened the application, only to see the login screen. She suddenly realized something. Right, your old phone and SIM card are gone. You can't log into your previous WeChat account. Register a new one using this broadband SIM card first. You can switch later once you recover your documents. Getting by without WeChat is too difficult. She swiftly helped Su Qiuyue finish the registration and handed the phone back. Pick a username. Su Qiuyue could not be bothered to think of one. She would probably only chat with Lu Wenwen anyway. She smiled. You can set it. Just use my name. Lu Wenwen shook her head helplessly. Fine, I'll sort everything out for you. I must have owed you in a past life. Shortly afterward, she returned the phone. You set the password yourself. I can't do that part for you. Su Qiuyue looked at the 6 empty boxes above the number keypad. To make it easy to remember, she typed her birthday, 710216. Once WeChat was ready, Lu Wenwen scanned her QR code with her own phone. After such a long time, they finally became WeChat contacts. She handed the phone back to Su Qiuyue. Perfect. Now I can message you whenever I want. Su Qiuyue nodded obediently. By the way, Wenwen, do you have work today? Lu Wenwen nodded. I do, but I arrived early. I have plenty of time before my shift starts. She turned to Su Qiuyue. What about you? Su Qiuyue shook her head softly, her tone dejected. I haven't found any work yet. Lu Wenwen pulled her to her feet. Come on, let's go see Sister Zhou and try our luck. She might need extra hands. The two hurried toward the film crew managed by Sister Zhou. As soon as they reached the set entrance, they heard Sister Zhou's sharp scolding. How many times have I told you to arrive early? You are a full hour late. Do you know how much filming progress you held up? The woman being reprimanded hung her head, not daring to utter a word. She had accepted 2 separate casting bookings and miscalculated her schedule. Fortunately, her first shoot wrapped up early, but she still arrived late here. She dared not argue and apologized quietly. I'm sorry, Sister Zhou. This will never happen again. Seeing her sincere attitude, Sister Zhou waved and let her leave. Seizing the opportunity, Lu Wenwen quickly pushed Su Qiuyue forward, forcing a cheerful smile. Sister Zhou, do you still need people today? Qiuyue can work. She can handle any task. Sister Zhou glanced at Su Qiuyue, who was a familiar face. She flipped through her registration notebook. We still need an extra background actor. She can take the spot. Lu Wenwen and Su Qiuyue exchanged delighted glances and bowed to thank her. Thank you, Sister Zhou. Sister Wu held out her hand towards Su Qiuyue. Hand over your actor's permit for registration. I hope you brought it this time. Su Qiuyue froze on the spot, stammering without a reply. Sister Zhou's expression darkened immediately at her reaction. She looked Su Qiuyue up and down with obvious displeasure and suspicion. Forgetting your permit once or twice is understandable, but this is the 3rd time. You can't even produce an ID card. Could you possibly be a wanted person? Lu Wenwen hurried forward to smooth things over with a smile. Sister Zhou, you're jumping to conclusions. Look at her, she couldn't be. She paused and continued. She may look sharp, but she's quite scatterbrained and constantly loses her belongings. Could you give her one more chance? She promises to bring all her documents tomorrow. Su Qiuyue stood quietly, afraid of saying anything that might make matters worse. This time, Sister Zhou would not bend the rules and waved her hand to refuse. No can do. Rules are rules. Come back only when you bring all proper identification. Lu Wenwen dared not plead further. She thanked Sister Zhou and led the discouraged Su Qiuyue back to the old locust tree, where they squatted down again. Many questions lingered in Lu Wenwen's mind. Though she spoke her thoughts openly, seeing how downcast Su Qiuyue was, she asked gently, Qiuyue, what is really going on? How can you not have an ID card at all? Su Qiuyue lifted her head and met Lu Wenwen's sincere, concerned gaze. Her heart softened, and she resolved to tell her the truth, though she would adjust the story about her lack of ID. While waiting for Lu Wenwen under the tree earlier, she had overheard other extras talking about a girl who fled an arranged marriage deep in the mountains. She organized her words carefully, looked straight at Lu Wenwen with earnest eyes, and began to speak. Wenwen, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't have an ID card, and I never owned a mobile phone. Before she finished speaking, Lu Wenwen shot to her feet, eyes wide open. What? Su Qiuyue quickly grabbed her arm. Calm down and listen to me. My family lives deep in the mountains. I have 5 elder sisters and 1 younger brother. Lu Wenwen covered her mouth in shock. Your mother gave birth to 7 children? Su Qiuyue nodded, speaking as if she were talking about someone else's life. That's common where I'm from. Everyone wants a son to carry on the family line. My 5 elder sisters were married off one after another. All their betrothal money was saved up for my brother's wedding. I'm 18 this year and my brother is 17. He is getting married after the Lunar New Year, so my father forced me to marry the lame man from the neighboring village. I refused and ran away secretly. The cotton, padded jacket I wore the day we first met belonged to me. I had very little money on me, so I put on the warmest clothes I owned, with no idea where I could go. Tears blurred Lu Wenwen's eyes as she listened, her voice shaky. Then, why don't you have an ID card? I was never registered as a resident. When I was born, I was another girl, so my parents saw no point in registering my household. My 4th and 5th sisters are in the same situation. The area is backward. Women never went out to work, they only farmed and raised children at home, so no one thought household registration mattered. I only realized you need ID and a phone for everything once I ran away. I was afraid to tell anyone, but you are my best friend. I hate keeping secrets from you. Lu Wenwen pulled her into a tight hug, patting her back gently. Don't say any more. We'll find a way to sort this out. She immediately took out her phone and quickly searched. What can someone do without a household register, birth certificate, or any documents to apply for an ID card? She scrolled through page after page of results. Most replies required household registration booklets, birth certificates, and certification from one's hometown. Her heart sank bit by bit. Qiuyue could never go home to retrieve paperwork. If she returned, she would never escape again. And she did not even have a household registration record there. Then she found a lesser-known solution. A village committee or neighborhood committee could issue a residence certificate. With a guarantor, she could apply to retroactively register her household status. Lu Wenwen's face lit up. She made up her mind at once. Qiuyue, tomorrow I will go to the police station with you. We'll say you grew up with distant relatives who later lost contact with you, so you never completed household registration. You've been staying with me all these years. I will act as your guarantor. And we can get a certificate from the neighborhood committee. We will find a way to get this sorted out. Su Qiuyue's heart warmed. She had no relatives or connections in this world, yet Lu Wenwen was helping her build a foundation to survive here. Guilt gnawed at her, knowing she was still hiding the full truth. She could never speak of her ability to travel between eras. Anyone who heard would think she was mentally unwell. She nodded firmly, staring at Lu Wenwen's earnest profile, her voice thick with tears. Thank you, Wenwen. I don't know how I can ever repay you. Lu Wenwen covered her mouth before she could finish. Stop that. It's not a big deal. Don't get sentimental. Her own eyes grew moist as she spoke. The 2 girls hugged, comforting each other. Suddenly, Lu Wenwen's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and jumped up abruptly. Oh no! I got carried away talking and forgot my shift. I have to leave now. Filming will run late today. Let's meet directly at the police station tomorrow. I'll send you the location. She hurried off, but turned back a few steps later, worried Su Qiuyue would struggle to find the place. Wait, we'll meet here tomorrow instead. I'll come with you to the police station. With that, she rushed toward the film crew. Watching Lu Wenwen run off, Su Qiuyue lowered her head and fiddled with the mobile phone. She could read all the characters on the screen. Within minutes, she grew familiar with its functions and became absorbed scrolling through Douyin. Movie commentaries, popular science videos, footage of handsome men and beautiful women captivated her. Before she knew it, night had fallen. She could not help marveling at how advanced the world of 2026 had become. She looked up at the sky. It was past 8 o'clock. She needed to head back. She stuffed the phone into her pocket and prepared to walk toward the market. She suddenly smacked her forehead. How scatterbrained she was. There was a public restroom nearby. There was no need to trek all the way to the market every time. She found the nearest public toilet, stepped into a stall, and whispered that she wanted to return home. In the next instant, she was back inside her room in 1989. She changed back into her cotton trousers and flowery padded jacket, then unlocked the window and door. Sitting on the heated brick bed, Su Qiuyue sank into thought. Even if she successfully obtained an ID card in 2026, casual work at the film base was unstable and could not guarantee steady earnings. She had no idea how long her ability to travel between 2 worlds would last. She needed to earn as much money as possible while she still could. She had accumulated some capital in 1989, but she had very little cash left in 2026. She wanted to bring more jeans over to sell, yet she lacked sufficient funds. How could she earn money in the future era? What if she brought goods from this era to sell there, just like she brought jeans back from 2026? But then she hesitated. The year 2026 was highly developed. Every kind of product was easily available. All at once, she recalled what Zhang Daqiang had told her. When people heard he was selling free-range eggs, they sold out in no time. That was it. Earlier, while scrolling videos, she had seen that people in 2026 valued healthy living. Free-range, farm, raised produce was extremely popular. Why not try bringing eggs over to sell? She climbed down from the brick bed and walked toward Zhou Xiaofeng's room. Pushing the door open, she saw Zhou Xiaofeng and Su Jiansheng sitting on the bed sorting corn cobs. She sat down on the edge of the bed, picked up a handful of corn to help sort, and spoke slowly. Dad, Mom. Today I went into town to pick up goods from my classmate. She said this was the last batch, and she won't have new stock for an unknown length of time. I thought trading brings good profits, so I want to try selling something else. Have you decided what to sell? Su Jiansheng asked without lifting his head. I chatted with Brother Daqiang today. He said he went to sell free-range eggs and hazel mushrooms. The farm, raised eggs sold out quickly. I'm thinking I could try selling eggs. Zhou Xiaofeng laughed when she heard this. We do have eggs at home, just not many left. I'll go check how many there are. With that, she climbed down off the kang and walked toward the kitchen. Su Jianshi set down the corn cobs in his hands, looked at Su Qiuyue and suddenly asked, I heard you went to Daqiang's house to deliver trousers today. About that marriage proposal, what are your thoughts? Su Qiuyue nodded. Yes. Sister-in-law Daqiang asked me to reserve a pair of trousers for her, so I specially took them over today. She paused, her tone firm. I don't want to get married for now. I'm still young, and my business is only just starting to pick up. I want to get it established first. Marriage can wait. Su Jianshi nodded in approval. That's fine. You make your own decisions. If you've made up your mind, tell your mother to turn down the matchmaker tomorrow. We shouldn't string Daqiang along. Just then, Zhou Xiaofeng walked into the room holding several eggs and held them out to Su Qiuyue. Look at these eggs we have. They're quite big. City folks will definitely like them, but we don't have many left, only 20 in total. Will that be enough to sell? Su Qiuyue took the eggs and weighed them in her hands. The shells were a pale yellowish, brown, and felt heavy. They're good, just not enough. Do we have any hazel mushrooms at home? Su Jianshi thought for a moment. We do. Your mother and I went up the mountain to pick them during the slack farming season. We dried them and stored them away. Not a huge amount, maybe around 3 or 4 jin. Su Qiuyue's eyes lit up. It was more than she'd hoped for. She decided to take the hazel mushrooms and eggs to 2026 first to test the market. If they sold well, she could buy more from villagers later. Most families in the village only had a small number of eggs. They couldn't be bothered to travel all the way to town to sell them. It wasn't worth the trouble, and they'd only get a low price anyway. If she bought eggs door to door, it would save the villagers the hassle and earn them some pocket money. It was a win-win arrangement. Having made up her mind, she said to her parents, I'll take our eggs and hazel mushrooms into town to try selling them first. If they sell well, I'll go around the village to buy more later. Su Jianshi nodded with satisfaction. His daughter was quick-witted, just like him. Zhou Xiaofeng smiled. All right. I'll pack up the eggs and mushrooms right away and leave them in the outer room. You can grab them on your way out tomorrow morning. Okay, thanks, Mom. Silly girl, no need to be so polite with your mother. As they were talking, the outer door creaked open. Su Qiuyue stepped outside and her face lit up. Aunt, what brings you here? It's been ages. Come on in. Su Guilan had married into neighboring Zhangjia village years ago. Her husband's family owned plenty of farmland, so they lived reasonably comfortably. Over the years, Su Guilan had helped Su Qiuyue's family out many times. She stroked Su Qiuyue's hair and sighed. You've grown so tall. You're a proper young lady now. Zhou Xiaofeng heard the commotion inside the house and hurried out. She took Su Guilan by the hand and pulled her toward the king. It's cold out here. Come sit on the kong. Your brother's home too. All three climbed onto the kang. Su Guilan called out to Su Jianshi, brother. Su Jianshi turned and walked out. Soon he came back carrying a bowl of sugar water, the highest standard of hospitality back in 1989, with a thick layer of sugar settled at the bottom. Su Guilan took the bowl and took a sip. It tasted sweet. Her brother remembered she loved sugar water and always served it whenever she visited. After warming up, Su Guilin looked troubled. She clutched the bowl, hesitating to speak. No one else in the room noticed. Zhou Xiaofeng spoke first. How's your eldest son doing lately? Has he found a girlfriend yet? Su Guilin seized the chance to bring up her business. He has. They're planning the wedding soon. Su Jieshi was delighted to hear it and quickly asked, when did this happen? Why didn't you tell us? Su Qiuyue also smiled and pressed her for details. Where's the girl from? How long have they been seeing each other? Su Guilin set down the bowl and spoke slowly. It only happened 2 months ago. Eldest son was old enough, so we asked a matchmaker. Things moved fast. Within a few days, the matchmaker said there was a young woman from Liujia village who was a great match, and she even finished junior high school. Zhou Xiaofeng nodded. In those days, it was quite something for a girl to finish junior high. Many didn't even complete primary school. The matchmaker arranged a meeting soon after. The two took a liking to each other straight away. They've been seeing each other for 2 months now, and they're talking about holding the wedding before the new year. As Su Guilin spoke, her brows furrowed again. The trouble is, they're asking for a bride price of 500 yuan, plus the 3 major household items. They aren't picky about housing. They said they can live with us. Zhou Xiaofeng gasped. All that would add up to well over 1,000 yuan, maybe more. You still need to buy clothes and hold a wedding banquet too. That's exactly our predicament. How much money can farming families save in a year? To be fair, what they're asking for isn't excessive. It's not their fault, we just don't have the money. Getting a son married could drain every cent we own. Zhou Xiaofeng's heart sank. The family still owed Su Guilin 100 yuan borrowed last year. Harvests had been poor, and they hadn't been able to pay it back. She suspected Su Guilin had come because she was desperate for cash. Su Qiuyue realized the same thing. With her aunt rushing to fund her son's wedding, the family needed to repay the debt as soon as possible. She glanced outside. Dusk was falling. Turning to Zhou Xiaofeng, she said, Mom, it's getting dark. Let's start cooking. Ask Aunt to stay the night instead of heading back. Su Jieshi agreed. Yes, don't leave tonight. Once dinner is over it'll be pitch black, and the road is rough. Su Guilin had already planned to stay overnight, so she readily agreed. All right. I'll help cook. You rest, Qiuyue. She knew Su Qiuyue had never liked housework and intended to lend a hand. But Su Qiuyue waved her off. Aunt, you're our guest. We can't let you work. Stay on the Kong and chat with Dad. Mom and I will handle everything. Su Guilin stared in surprise. Had the sun risen in the west today? Su Qiuyue was volunteering to work? Seeing this, she didn't insist further. Su Qiuyue and Zhou Xiaofeng walked into the outer room. Her eldest brother and sister-in-law were nowhere to be seen. She had been about to call Qin Suihua to help, so she asked her mother, where brother and sister-in-law? The Zhangs from the front yard are making steamed bean buns. They went over to help and will eat there tonight. Su Qiuyue nodded. She pulled 200 yuan out of her pocket and handed it to her mother. Mom, Aunt has come because she's short of money for the wedding. We still owe her 100 yuan. Pay that back and give her another 100 to tide her over. Aunt has helped our family countless times over the years. Zhou Xiaofeng was shocked to see Su Qiuyue pull out so much cash. She knew her daughter was earning money from her business, but she hadn't imagined she could get hold of 200 yuan so easily. She hesitated to take the money, but Su Qiuyue pressed it into her palm. Take it, Mom. I still have more saved, and I can keep earning. Zhou Xiaofeng clutched the money tightly and murmured, My girl has truly grown up. By the way, Mom, do we still have the streaky pork I bought last time? Yes, it's frozen in the big vat outside. I'll call your father to get it. Zhou Xiaofeng called toward the inner room. Old Su, fetch the frozen meat from the vat outside. We're having stewed meat tonight. Su Guilin heard and quickly stopped Su Jieshi as he stood up. Don't go to the trouble of stewing meat. Save the meat for the children. Just make whatever you usually eat for me, no need for special dishes. Just sit there and wait. Eat whatever we serve you, Su Jieshi said. He gently pushed Su Guilin back onto the edge of the kang and walked outside. Su Guilin could not persuade him and had to give up. Once Su Jieshi stepped out, Zhou Xiaofeng quickly pulled him aside. She glanced back to make sure Su Guilin hadn't followed them. Satisfied they weren't being overheard, she pulled out the 200 yuan and whispered. This is from Qiuyue. She said we should repay what we owe Guilin. Her family urgently needs money, so we can give her an extra 100 to use. Su Jianxi stared at the money in astonishment and looked towards Su Qiuyue, squatting by the stove to stoke the fire. Did she earn all this selling trousers? Su Qiuyue tossed another handful of firewood into the stove and nodded. Yes. Unfortunately, I don't have more stock right now, otherwise I could earn even more. Su Jianxi looked at her and said 3 goods in a row. Good, good, good. Our daughter has achieved something. After speaking, he walked out to retrieve the meat from the vat and also brought back a chunk of rock, hard frozen tofu. That evening, Zhou Xiaofeng cooked streaky pork stir, fried with pickled cabbage and a pot of cabbage and tofu soup. She carried the steaming dishes to the table just as Su Qirong and Su Dai pushed open the door. Su Qirong had a sharp nose and caught the scent of meat immediately. She trotted over and hugged Zhou Xiaofeng's legs. I smell meat. And pickled cabbage. Are we having meat for dinner? Zhou Xiaofeng smiled and pinched her reddened cheeks. Only you can smell everything. Go wash your hands with your brother, then we'll eat. After washing up, Su Dai laid out the chopsticks and bowls. Su Jianxi told him, go inside and ask your aunt to come eat. Su Qirong and Su Dai lit up. Aunt's here. Their aunt doted on them. She always saved tasty treats for them, sometimes walking miles just to deliver them. The two hurried into the inner room. When they entered, they saw Su Guilin dozing against the head of the king. Su Qirong kicked off her shoes and climbed onto the king. She twisted a strand of her braid and brushed it lightly back and forth across Su Guilin's nose. Achoo! Su Guilin sneezed loudly and woke up drowsily. She saw Su Qirong waving her braid in front of her face and pulled the little girl into her arms. You mischievous child. Su Dai stood beside the king and said softly, Aunt, dinner's ready. Come and eat. All right, coming. Su Guilin rubbed her eyes and looked at Su Dai. It's been a while. Date has grown so tall. Sitting at the table, Su Guilin could tell the meal had been prepared specially for her. Ordinarily, between seasons with no farm work and no income, ordinary families could not afford meat without a festival. They survived on winter stock vegetables, mostly cabbage and potatoes. Tofu cost money, so it was rarely served. Throughout the meal, Su Guilin barely touched the meat on her plate. Instead, she kept putting meat onto the 3 children's bowls. Su Qiuyue picked up a chunk of meat and put it into Su Guilin's bowl. Aunt, don't only eat vegetables. Mom's braised meat tastes wonderful, have more. Right after she spoke, Su Qirong and Su Dai copied her and piled more food into Su Guilin's bowl. Su Guilin stared at her bowl, heaped high with meat. Her eyes grew warm. Very well, Aunt will eat. She glanced at the drafty straw house belonging to her brother, and sorrow welled up inside her. She could not bring herself to ask for money after all. After dinner, Su Qirong and Su Dai cleared the bowls to wash them. Children in the countryside grew up learning to work. Everyone except Su Qiuyue was skilled at chores. Su Guilin moved to help, but Zhou Xiaofeng pulled her toward the inner room. Let them handle it. Washing bowls is nothing. Come rest inside, your brother and I want to talk with you. Once inside, Zhou Xiaofeng led Su Guilin onto the king. Su Qiuyue and Su Jianxi sat on the edge. Zhou Xiaofeng pulled 200 yuan from her pocket and held it out. Guilin, sister-in-law must apologize. It took us so long to pay back the money we owed you. This extra 100 is for you too. Eldest son's wedding will cost money everywhere. We don't have much, but this is all we can offer. Su Guilin knew how poor her brother's family was. There was no way they could suddenly come up with 200 yuan. She wondered if her brother had gone out to borrow it while cooking earlier. She truly needed money, yet she worried her brother would keep borrowing endlessly. But thinking about her son's upcoming wedding, she gritted her teeth, took 100 yuan from Zhou Xiaofeng's hand, and pushed the other 100 back. I'll only take this 100. Give the rest back to whoever you borrowed it from. Sister-in-law, I would never have come to ask for money if I wasn't truly desperate. I know you struggle too. I'm so embarrassed to have to ask. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she spoke. Zhou Xiaofeng and Su Jianxi knew what kind of person Su Guilin was. She would never ask for help unless she had no other choice. They quickly comforted her. We're family. Don't talk like strangers. Su Jianxi pushed the second 100 yuan back into Su Guilin's hand. Keep it. This wasn't borrowed from outside. Qiuyue earned it from her business. What? Su Guilin stared at the money in her hand, then looked up at Su Qiuyue. Su Qiuyue sat on the edge of the kang and smiled at her. Still unable to believe it, she turned to Su Jianxi for confirmation. Did Qiuyue really earn all this? Su Qiuyue stood up from the kang and brushed off her jeans. It's true. And What do you think of these trousers? A classmate brought goods back from Hong Kong and gave me several on credit. I actually made money selling them. As she spoke, she turned in a circle so Su Guilin could get a good look. Su Guilin had arrived weighed down with worries and hadn't paid attention to anyone's clothes. Prompted by Su Qiuyue, she took a proper look. The style was fresh, with slightly flared trouser legs. It looked fashionable, nothing like anything sold at the town supply and marketing cooperative. She reached out and touched the fabric, amazed. Goodness me, these trousers are lovely. She patted Su Qiuyue's shoulder. Qiuyue has really grown up. You've started your own business now. Su Qiuyue smiled and took her aunt's hand. And, once I get new stock after selling this batch, I'll set aside a pair for you and one for your future daughter-in-law. Su Guilin waved her hands quickly. We don't need them. These trousers look expensive. You should sell them to make money. Su Qiuyue knew her aunt was thinking of her. Still, all the help her aunt had given the family over the years could never be repaid with just 2 pairs of trousers. Privately, she resolved that once her business stabilized, she would find a way to help Su Guilin's family. They chatted about family matters for a while longer. Then Su Qiuyue led Su Guilin back to her room to sleep. Passing through the outer room, she glanced toward her eldest brother and sister-in-law's room. It was empty. Presumably after eating at the Zhang's, they had gone elsewhere to play cards. Winter was the quiet season in the village. With no farm work to do, villagers gathered to play cards and chat. Su Qiuyue shook her head. It was fine for them to enjoy themselves. These were the only relaxed months of the year. She laid out the bedding and climbed under the covers. She thought back over her trips between 1989 and 2026. Suddenly she realized something she had overlooked. Every time she traveled to 2026, it was morning in both times. Time passed more slowly in 1989 while she stayed in 2026. Likewise, time moved slower in 2026 when she returned to 1989. Did that mean she had more time to travel back and forth between the two eras? Early the next morning, Su Guilin left for home after breakfast. Su Qiuyue came back from seeing her off, fetched a short-sleeved shirt and sandals, and tucked them inside her clothes. She then picked up the basket of eggs and hazel mushrooms from the outer room, ready to take them to 2026 to sell. Zhou Xiaofang thought she was heading into town and told her to be careful on the road. Leaving the house, Su Qiuyue walked toward the edge of the village until she reached an abandoned old house. She looked left and right to make sure no one was around, then slipped into the yard. The property had been deserted for years and was rarely visited. She quickly took off her cotton jacket and trousers, hid them in a corner, and traveled to 2026. After stepping out of a public restroom, she checked her phone. She still had 2 hours before her meeting with Lu Wenwen. Carrying the eggs and hazel mushrooms, she walked toward the market to try her luck. All the stalls inside the market were fixed and required fees. Instead, she squatted near the entrance and lifted the cloth covering her basket to start selling. Fresh free-range eggs laid at home. Only 20 available. Once they're gone, they're gone. Wild hazel mushrooms picked from the mountains. Just 3 jin total, first come first served. Before coming, she had checked online prices for free-range eggs. Most sold for 1.8 to 2 yuan each. She decided to charge 1.5 yuan. In 1989, she would pay at most 0.15 yuan per egg to buy from villagers. Reselling them here for 1.5 yuan was an excellent profit. It was peak shopping time. An elderly woman who had just come out of the market heard Su Qiuyue calling out. She squatted down beside the stall and picked up an egg to examine it. Are these truly free-range eggs? They are, ma'am. Look at the shells, varying shades of color, rough and matte, and smaller in size. Those are the marks of free-range eggs. Farmed eggs have smooth shells and are bigger. She smiled. If farmed eggs looked like this, they'd probably be marked as substandard. The woman nodded. They certainly looked like free-range eggs. How much are you charging? 1.5 yuan each. Only 20 in total. My family's hens lay more than we can eat, so I brought them out to sell. I can't get you any more. The woman thought the price was reasonable and waved her hand. Pack all of them up for me. My daughter is having her confinement soon. These will be perfect for her. Su Qiuyue beamed with joy. Certainly. That comes to 30 yuan. She took the money, put the eggs into a plastic bag she had brought from home, and handed it over. Ma'am, would you like some hazel mushrooms too? Wild ones picked on the mountains. 120 yuan a jin. She leaned closer and spoke quietly. Inside the market, they charge 35 yuan just for one liang, and you can't be sure they're truly wild. These taste amazing stewed with chicken. I'm selling cheap because I want to finish quickly and head home. The woman picked up a few mushrooms to inspect. They looked good, with traces of soil still on the roots. All right, weigh out 1 jin for me. Su Qiuyue suddenly slapped her thigh. She had forgotten to bring scales. She hurried over to borrow an electronic scale from a nearby vegetable vendor and completed the sale for 120 yuan. As she returned the scale, she thanked the woman repeatedly. Thank you so much, Auntie. This is my first time selling things, and I completely forgot to bring scales. The vendor waved it off. No trouble at all. After a pause, she asked, are these hazel mushrooms really wild? Su Qiuyue nodded. I wouldn't lie about that. We picked them in the mountain forest behind our village. Only 3 jin altogether. She held out a handful of mushrooms for the vendor to see. The vendor had grown up in the countryside. One glance told her they were high-quality goods. It had been years since she had tasted genuine wild hazel mushrooms, and seeing them stirred fond memories. She gently placed the mushrooms back into Su Qiuyue's basket. Give me all the rest, then. I'll take them home to stew for my grandson. Wild hazel mushrooms were hard to come by. She had sold vegetables at this market for a long time, and most of the mushrooms sold here were fake. It was rare to find such fine ones, and she planned to split them between her daughter and son once she got home. Su Qiuyue was overjoyed to hear this. She had not expected to sell out again after just a few minutes. Could she really be blessed with a natural talent for business, like people talked about online? The thought made her smile shyly. She lifted the basket and poured all the hazel mushrooms onto the electronic scale. It weighed just over 2 jin. A little over 2 jin. You can pay for 2 jin only, that's 240 yuan. Delighted to get the price rounded down, the elderly woman counted 240 yuan from a waist pouch tied around her waist and handed it over. Here you go, count it. Su Qiuyue took the money and counted it, then put the mushrooms into a plastic bag and passed them to the woman. Will you come tomorrow? The woman asked. If you do, set up right here. No need to bring your scale. You don't have much merchandise, so you can borrow mine. Su Qiuyue shook her head. Thank you, Auntie, but I'm not sure if I can make it tomorrow. This is all I have from home. I might visit some relatives to see if they have produce to sell. If I can get more, I'll come. The older woman grew fonder of Su Qiuyue by the minute. She was honest in business, and few young people were willing to humble themselves to set up a street stall these days. Very well. If you come, this spot is yours. Su Qiuyue glanced at her phone. It was almost time to meet Luowen. She bid the woman farewell. Thank you so much, Auntie. I have to head off now. See you another day. Basket in hand, Su Qiuyue hurried toward the film studio. When she reached the familiar old locust tree, her heart was light. She mentally tallied her earnings. She had 29 yuan left from her previous jean stock, plus 390 yuan from today's sales, making a total of 419 yuan. This was the most money she had ever owned at one time. She could treat Wenwen to a meal today. She patted her trouser pocket and felt the bundle of cash inside, a reassuring weight. Luowen had not arrived yet. She opened a shopping app on her phone and browsed, searching for goods that she could bring back to 1989 to sell. She had barely been scrolling for a few minutes when Luowen showed up. Luowen had drawn up a plan the day before. She grabbed Su Qiuyue's arm. First we go to the neighborhood committee to apply for a residence certificate, then head to the police station. The two arrived at the neighborhood committee and explained Su Qiuyue's situation. At first, the staff were reluctant to help. It sounded unbelievable. How could someone have no household registration? But the pair persisted. Drawing on Su Qiuyue's story, Luowen recounted a moving account that brought several of the committee aunties to tears. With Luowen offering her own ID as guarantee, they finally received a thin residence certificate. The two thanked them repeatedly. As they were leaving, the women held Su Qiuyue's hands. Poor child. If you ever run into trouble, come to the committee. We'll stand up for you. Su Qiuyue nodded obediently. Carrying the residence certificate, they went to the police station. Thanks to the guarantee and paperwork, the officers did not give them any further trouble. Su Qiuyue had her photo taken, filled out forms, and registered her fingerprints. The moment her fingertips pressed against the fingerprint scanner, a genuine feeling washed over her. At last, she officially existed in this world. Lu Wenwen nudged her with a grin. See? All sorted out. You've got official identification now. Su Qiuyue's eyes grew moist. She nodded firmly. Yes, I'm someone with legal identity now. Once all procedures were complete, a temporary identity card was handed to her first. She clutched the thin card printed with her name, photograph, and the year 2026. Her throat tightened, and the tears she had held back finally spilled over. Luonan knew how hard Su Qiuyue's escape from the mountains had been, and every hardship she endured was contained in those tears. She pulled her into a gentle embrace and comforted her, her own eyes turning red. She wiped away Su Qiuyue's tears and checked her watch. It's 4 o'clock already. We haven't eaten since noon. I'm starving. Let's go get something to eat. Su Qiuyue patted her money-filled pocket, brimming with confidence. Great. Today marks my new beginning. Name whatever you want, it's my treat. Luowan joked, wow, big talk. I might eat you out of pocket. Even so, she knew how difficult it had been for Su Qiuyue to earn this money. Without an ID or mobile phone, she must have suffered countless hardships on her journey from remote mountains. Luonan led Su Qiuyue onto buses and subways, heading back toward the market. Su Qiuyue stared wide-eyed on the subway. Outside, the air was stiflingly hot, but the station was cool. Buses often got stuck in traffic, yet the subway raced smoothly, arriving at a new station every 2 minutes. Luonan impatiently showed her how to buy tickets, swipe to enter, and use mobile navigation to plan routes. Su Qiuyue memorized every step, resolving to try traveling alone next time. Once they reached the market, Luowan pulled her straight to a malatang stall. She knew Su Qiuyue intended to pay, so she picked an affordable meal, and she also knew Su Qiuyue liked malatang. Su Qiuyue bought 2 cups of ice cream from Mishue. After finishing their food, they leaned back on the chairs with full bellies, thoroughly satisfied. Now that you have an ID, go apply for an extra actor permit at the film studio tomorrow. That way you can take on work regularly. Being an extra is better than ordinary labor work, in my opinion. You're beautiful, who knows, you might get discovered and land a leading role with much higher pay. Luowan said sincerely. Su Qiuyue nodded. We don't have enough time today. I'll go first thing tomorrow. She had been thinking the same thing. Extra acting jobs were not available every day. She planned to bring eggs to sell early the next morning before heading to the studio. She would take acting work when offers came, and look for other odd jobs when there were none. She could not afford to idle. She needed every chance to earn money. Luowan stood up. Let's call it a day then. Meet at the old locust tree tomorrow. All right, see you tomorrow. Su Qiuyue walked Luowan to the market entrance. She turned back into the market and headed for the jeans stall. The stall owner broke into a smile the moment she spotted Su Qiuyue. This young woman always bought large quantities, so she deserved attentive service. Hi girl, you're back. Looking for new stock today? She pulled a big sack of newly arrived goods out from under the stall and spread them open for Su Qiuyue to look through. Take a look at these fresh arrivals. I haven't even put them out yet. Inside the sack were bundles of silk scarves. There were sheer long scarves with printed patterns, styles popular back in 1989. There were also narrow, thin silk scarves. Su Qiuyue picked one up and turned it over. It was so narrow, how was it worn? Seeing Su Qiuyue's interest, the owner took one out to demonstrate. She wore a plain white short-sleeved shirt, which paired perfectly with the scarf. She stood the collar upright, draped the scarf beneath it and tied a simple knot, then folded the collar back down. See how it looks? So stylish. Lots of office ladies from big companies buy these. Office women did wear styles like this, though not low-quality versions such as these. The owner tied another scarf around her head, tucking the loose ends into the elastic holding her ponytail. It works as a headband too. Then she wove her loose hair together with the scarf to form a side braid. Looks lovely this way as well. Su Qiuyue suddenly recognized the style. It matched the scarves worn by celebrities on wall calendars. No scarves like this were available in townships in 1989. These are nice. What's your wholesale price? Expecting a bulk order, the owner gave her the best rate. I get them for 1 yuan each. You can pay 1 yuan and 20 fin a piece. She pointed at the sheer long scarves. These are 1 yuan 50 each wholesale. Are you getting more jeans today? Still 20 yuan each. If you buy a large order, I'll throw in a crossbody bag for free. She gestured toward a stack of bags beside the stall. These scarves cost very little. In Guangzhou, vendors sold them by the sack rather than individually. In 1989, similar sheer long scarves sold for 5 to 10 yuan each at supply and marketing cooperatives, yet none had such delicate patterns. Su Qiuyue planned to sell the sheer scarves for 3 yuan 50 fin and the narrow headband, style scarves for 4 yuan each. I'll take 30 sheer scarves, 20 narrow scarves, and 15 pairs of jeans. Delighted by the large order, the owner beamed and pointed to the bags. Perfect, I'll pack everything up. Pick whichever bag you like, it's yours as a gift. The bags cost almost nothing. Most shoppers at the market were older women who haggled endlessly, demanding low prices and good quality. Su Qiuyue always purchased generously without bargaining, and the owner wanted to keep this valuable customer. Su Qiuyue sorted through the bags and finally picked a small black leather crossbody bag, ideal for holding cash while she sold goods. Once everything was packed, the owner tapped rapidly on a calculator. Your total comes to 369 yuan. Su Qiuyue counted out the money and handed it over. Only 50 yuan remained in her pocket, and her heart sank slightly. She had nearly spent all her earnings in a single day. She needed to sell this new stock quickly, then return to the village to buy more eggs and hazel mushrooms to bring here. She had to keep earning money fast. Carrying 2 heavy sacks of jeans and scarves, Su Qiuyue slipped into a stall restroom cubicle. In the next instant, she returned to the run-down farmhouse of 1989. Inside the house, she quickly changed out of her short-sleeved shirt and sandals. She pulled on cotton trousers and a cotton, padded jacket with a pair of jeans over top. She carefully placed the scarves and jeans into her basket, lining the bottom with plastic sheeting to keep everything dry. Once ready, she slung the basket over her arm, peered outside to make sure no one was watching, then hurried toward the village entrance. She had only waited a few minutes when she heard the puttering engine of Zhang Daqiang's tricycle approaching. When he caught sight of Su Qiuyue, an awkward expression crossed his face. The matchmaker had come back with news a few days earlier. Su Qiuyue was not ready to get married yet. Zhang Daqiang burned with a question. Was she opposed to marriage entirely, or only marriage to him? But standing face to face with her, the words stuck in his throat. All he managed to say was, "Qiuyue, heading into town again? Hop on." He did not climb down to help her board as he once had. Without romantic intentions between them now, he feared gossip that might cause trouble for her. Su Qiuyue noticed his discomfort and guessed the matchmaker must have delivered her reply. She thought Daqiang was a good man, but marriage was the last thing on her mind right now. She needed to support her family and build up her trade. She was not ready to take on the heavy responsibilities of marriage and raising children. Since starting her small business, she cherished the steady satisfaction of improving her family's life through her own labor. She could not afford to slow down. Su Qiuyue set her basket in the cart, gripped the edge, and climbed aboard, squatting in the corner. The other villagers on the cart crowded around her the moment she got on, chattering. "Qiuyue, what goods have you brought today?" She pulled 2 scarves out of the basket to show them. "I still have jeans like last time, plus 2 new styles of scarves. Ladies, what do you think of these designs?" One woman held up a sheer scarf and examined it closely. "Good quality, and the patterns are newer than what the supply and marketing cooperative sells." "Are these from Hong Kong?" Others chimed in. "They do look fashionable. The cooperative charges 5 yuan for scarves. I suppose these cost even more." Another woman picked up a narrow scarf and weighed it lightly in her hand. "Is this really a scarf? It's so thin and narrow. How do you wear something like this? The pattern is pretty, almost like silk, but it's far too slim. I've never seen anything like it." Su Qiuyue took the narrow scarf. She copied the demonstration from the stall owner in 2026. First, she tied it around her head, undid her braid, and wove the scarf strands into her hair before securing it with an elastic band. Then she took another and wrapped it loosely around her neck, turning to show the villagers. "See? You can wear it as a headband or around your neck. These are the latest styles popular in Hong Kong." The crowd marveled. "I have to admit, it looks lovely tied in hair. How much are the scarves?" Su Qiuyue held up the sheer style. 3 yuan 50 fin each. She lifted the narrow scarves. "For yuan each." The woman who had been holding the sheer scarf did a quick calculation. They were cheaper than the cooperative stock and more stylish. The new year was approaching. She could get one for herself and another for her daughter. It was a worthwhile buy. She pulled a handful of change from her pocket and counted out 3 yuan 50 fin. "Give me 1 sheer scarf." Su Qiuyue smiled and handed her several different patterns to choose from. "Pick whichever color you like best." With suggestions from the surrounding women, she selected a peach red one, muttering to herself. "Isn't this color a bit bright for someone my age?" She was only in her 30s, but years working farmland under the sun left her skin tanned, making her look older. Su Qiuyue spoke earnestly. You're not old at all. Besides, every woman, no matter her age, deserves to look nice. She recalled words she had seen online and added, learn to cherish yourself first, and others will cherish you too. Some of the women laughed shyly. Talking like that in broad daylight. Young girl, you shouldn't speak so freely. Others nodded in agreement. Qiuyue is right. We spend all our time looking after husbands and children. We ought to care for ourselves more. Qiuyue, I want one too. Count me in as well. In a short time, Su Qiuyue sold 5 scarves on the tricycle, earning 17 yuan 50 fin. Her heart swelled with happiness. When they reached the town entrance, she hopped off the cart and waved goodbye. Farewell, ladies. If you want anything else, you can come to my house after dark. She paid her fare and walked straight to her usual selling spot. She spread plastic sheeting on the ground, laid out a few jeans and scarves as display samples, and called out loudly. Hong Kong scarves, celebrity styles at low prices. Come and take a look. Brand new Hong Kong flared jeans. Wear them and be the prettiest girl in town. She had barely called out twice when a young woman wandered over. She wore a red plaid wool coat and black leather shoes, clearly from a well-off family. Su Qiuyue knew a tailored wool coat would cost more than 50 yuan. The woman's coat was sold at the supply and marketing cooperative, and such thick fabric would not go for less than 100 yuan. She knelt down, held out a scarf, and gestured to the narrow scarf tied in her own hair with a smile. Miss, we have 2 scarf styles. The one I'm wearing is favored by celebrities. You see them on television and wall calendars. Extremely popular in Hong Kong. The young woman looked Su Qiuyue over. The red and white spotted scarf framing her face made her skin look fair and bright, undeniably fashionable. The red color was perfect for the new year and matched her wool coat. She pointed at Su Qiuyue's head. How much is that style? Su Qiuyue found an identical scarf and handed it over. For yuan each. Feel the smooth fabric. The young woman ran her fingertips over the silky surface. Satisfied with the texture, she pulled out a 5 yuan note. Su Qiuyue gave her 1 yuan in change, then stood up and twisted to show off her jeans. Miss, what about these trousers? The cut will suit you perfectly, only 30 yuan. She tugged at the frayed hems. Notice this fringe detail. You won't find anything like it around here. New arrivals from Hong Kong. Pair them with low heels, and they lengthen your figure beautifully. The young woman picked up the jeans and examined them. The flares were wider than ordinary styles, and the cut was neat, far trendier than common trousers sold locally. A young woman dressed fashionably stood before the stall, clutching a pair of jeans in her hand, instantly drawing the attention of several women passing by. They wandered over to take a look. To their surprise, the stall carried quite trendy goods, and they squatted down one after another to browse. People loved to join in the commotion. Seeing the growing crowd, more onlookers swarmed over, soon packing the stall tightly from the inside out. Noticing the swelling throng, the young woman quickly pulled 30 yuan from her pocket and handed it to Su Qiuyue. She grabbed the jeans and hurried away, afraid she would get trapped in the crush. Chatter erupted in front of the stall, voices overlapping one another. How much are these silk scarves? What's the price of the jeans? I'd get a pair for my daughter. I've never seen such slim silk scarves before. Su Qiuyue stood up and raised her voice. Everyone, please slow down and let me explain. She pointed at the sheer silk scarves. These are 3 yuan and 50 fin each. Then she touched the scarf on her own head. The style I'm wearing is the same one celebrities use, for yuan apiece. Lastly, she patted the jeans on her body. The jeans, just like the ones I have on, cost 30 yuan each. Their brand, new stock coming from Hong Kong. Feel free to look and pick. Most people in the town held steady jobs, so 3 or 4 yuan was hardly a large sum. Before long, 10 sheer scarves and 8 slim scarves were sold, along with 8 pairs of jeans. Su Qiuyue's trouser pockets bulged with loose change, digging uncomfortably into her hips. Only then did she remember the shoulder bag the supplier had given her. She pulled the bag out of her basket and was about to sling it over her shoulder when a middle-aged woman caught sight of it. Young lady, that bag looks lovely. How much is it? Su Qiuyue glanced down at the bag and shook her head. This one isn't for sale. There's only one, and I'm keeping it to hold my earnings. The woman reached out, took the bag, and turned it over to examine it closely. The workmanship is excellent, neat stitching, and it's just the right size. She hugged the bag to her chest and negotiated with Su Qiuyue. Girl, I really like this bag. Sell it to me, and you can buy another later. Su Qiuyue smiled and gently tugged at the strap. These goods come from Hongqing. They aren't easy to come by. To be honest, everything at this stall is limited stock. No one knows when more will arrive. Still, the woman refused to let go of the bag. Su Qiuyue quickly weighed the situation. The bag had been a free gift with no cost, so selling it would be pure profit. She put on a reluctant expression. I really hadn't planned to sell it. If you truly want it, I'll charge you my cost price, 15 yuan. Light lit up the woman's face the moment she heard Su Qiuyue was willing to sell. She hastily pulled out the money and pressed it into Su Qiuyue's hand, clutching the bag and rushing off, fearing Su Qiuyue might change her mind. The other women at the stall grew eager. An item that existed only once held far greater appeal. Many who had thought little of it before suddenly feared missing out. By now the sun hung high overhead, nearly noon. Fewer shoppers wandered the streets and sales slowed. Su Qiuyue decided to pack up her stall and tally her earnings. She had sold 20 sheer scarves, 12 slim scarves, 1 shoulder bag, and all 15 pairs of jeans. Her total takings came to 583 yuan. Added to the 160 yuan she had saved previously, her savings jumped to 743 yuan. Su Qiuyue fought hard to hold back a cheer. Gripping her money pouch tightly, she sorted through her stock mentally. 10 sheer scarves and 8 slim scarves remained, and every pair of jeans was gone. It seemed the jeans had sold well for several rounds. She needed fresh merchandise that could not be found elsewhere in town. But she only had 50 yuan on hand in the year 2026, far too little to restock. She would first collect free-range eggs from the village to sell there and slowly build up more capital. Basket slung over her arm, she walked toward the town entrance and boarded Zhang Daqiang's tricycle back to the village as usual. On the walk home after getting off, she was deep in thought about collecting eggs. When she pushed open the outer room door, she saw Qin Suihua squatting on the ground peeling potatoes, a pile of peels beside her. Su Qiuyue's eyes lit up. Sister-in-law, do you want to earn some money? Qin Suihua looked up abruptly, stunned. Earn money? She pointed at herself. Me? That's right, you. Su Qiuyue nodded. Qin Suihua let out an awkward laugh. Don't tease me, girl. I don't know how to do anything. How could I make money? Su Qiuyue pointed at the scarf on her head. Hear me out first. Look at this new style scarf. Pretty, isn't it? I'll give you one. Qin Suihua wiped her hands on her apron and stood to step closer. She studied the scarf on Su Qiuyue's head and touched it lightly. It's lovely. Is this new stock you brought in? Su Qiuyue pulled several remaining scarves out of her basket and waved them in front of her. I have plenty more. Come inside and pick one out. She dragged Qin Suihua into the house, leaving the woman full of doubts. What had gotten into her sister-in-law lately? Offering scarves and talking about making money, what was she planning? Yet when she saw the colorful scarves spread across the kang, curiosity won out. Picking a scarf became her first priority. Su Qiuyue led her to sit on the edge of the kang and smiled. Choose whichever one you like. Once Qin Suihua's attention was fully fixed on the scarves, Su Qiuyue spoke slowly. Sister-in-law, goods from Hongqing sell well, but supplies aren't steady. I plan to collect free-range eggs around the village to sell in town. Working alone is too slow, so I was hoping you could help me. Qin Suihua's fingers froze mid-selection. So that was why she was offering scarves, trying to get free labor. She was not about to work for nothing. Noticing her sour expression, Su Qiuyue quickly added, of course you won't work for free. Eggs sell for 15 fen each in town. I'll buy them from villagers at a lower price. Whatever price you negotiate to collect them, I will still pay you 15 fen per egg. Any extra profit you make is all yours. She knew her elder brother and sister-in-law had not separated from the family. They had no private savings, and all household money was controlled by their mother. Qin Suihua had long felt frustrated about this. She worked tirelessly for the family, and Su Qiuyue wanted to give her a chance to earn her own money. Having savings of her own would bring her peace of mind. Qin Suihua's eyes instantly brightened. Really? But her excitement faded quickly, and she sank back down. Even if I earn money, won't Mother take it? I will talk to Mother. Every cent you earn belongs only to you and my brother. Su Qiuyue looked straight at her. So, will you do it? I'll do it. Qin Suihua stuffed a scarf into her pocket. Wait here. I'll head out to collect eggs right away and fetch your brother too. Two people can gather far more quickly. She rushed out the door and nearly collided with Su Qirong and Su Dai, who came skipping inside. Su Qirong glared at her and muttered softly, "Rushing about like that in broad daylight." Su Qiuyue wondered how long the two children had been standing there listening. She waved them over. "When did you get back? Come inside." Su Qirong sat down beside Su Qiuyue and pouted. "Sister, why didn't you ask me to help with the money? Making work?" Su Dai nodded in agreement. "Yeah, I can collect eggs too." Su Qiuyue tapped each of them lightly on the forehead. "You two are still children. Your most important job is to study hard. Don't worry about earning money." Though she said this, warmth filled her heart. Their family lived in poverty, yet no one was lazy, except herself, she thought, and she smiled sheepishly. The two youngsters held their foreheads and stared at her in protest. Su Qiuyue pulled 1 yuan out of her pocket and gave each of them 50 fin. "Here, pocket money. Go and play." They grabbed the coins and jumped for joy, speaking in unison. "Is this really ours? Can we spend it however we want?" "Yes, spend it as you please. Off you go." She patted their heads. Children were children after all. Ecstatic over their 50 fin windfall, they sprinted outside, already debating how to spend the money. Su Qiuyue took one of the slim scarves and walked toward her mother's room. She pushed open the door to find Zhou Xiaofeng sitting on the kang stitching cotton shoes. With such a large family, she made nearly all their winter footwear herself. Seeing Su Qiuyue enter, she patted the space beside her. "Come sit." Su Qiuyue held out the scarf to her mother. "Mom, I met a classmate in town today. She saw how well my goods sold and arranged for a new shipment from Hongqing. This is a new style of scarf. It's for you." Zhou Xiaofeng did not reach to take it. Instead, she gently pushed Su Qiuyue's hand away. "Keep it to sell. I'm too old to go out anywhere. I'd never get the chance to wear it." Su Qiuyue did not press the matter. She needed to bring up the plan to collect eggs. After a pause, she said, "I sold all our family's eggs and hazel mushrooms today." As soon as people heard they were free-range eggs and wild hazel mushrooms, everything sold in minutes. She pulled money from her pocket and counted out 21 yuan according to 1989 market prices, handing it over to Zhou Xiaofeng. "This is the money from the eggs and mushrooms. The eggs sold for 15 fin apiece, and the mushrooms 6 yuan per jean. I had a little over 3 jean, so I counted it as 3 jean." Zhou Xiaofeng shook her head. "Keep this money for restocking. I don't need it." Su Qiuyue did not argue. She hoped to buy her mother a fine set of clothes once she earned more. She pressed the money into Zhou Xiaofeng's palm. "These eggs are ours, and you and Dad picked the mushrooms. The money belongs to you. Keep it. I have enough for myself. Also, Mom, the eggs sell really well, but I can't collect enough on my own. I want your son and daughter-in-law to help speed things up." Zhou Xiaofeng thought it over. "Your son won't mind. He spends most days loitering playing cards anyway, he might as well work. But will your daughter-in-law agree?" Su Qiuyue smiled. "I already talked to her. I'll pay her, so she's on board." Zhou Xiaofeng frowned. "You're all family. Do you still need to pay her? Mom, brother and sister-in-law are already in their 20s. Once they have children, expenses will pile up. Besides, no one should work without compensation. I told her all the money they earn belongs only to the two of them. More work brings more pay." Zhou Xiaofeng did not object further. Most men their son's age in the village already had children, and her family's hardship was the reason they did not. She dared not ask whether the couple planned to start a family. "Very well. It's your business, so you decide." Su Qiuyue briefly considered asking her parents to help gather eggs as well, then changed her mind. They were getting on in years. Her elder brother and sister-in-law ought to be sufficient. Selling eggs would not sustain her for long. The profit margin was far smaller than goods like jeans. She needed to find items cheap in 1989 yet valuable in 2026. She resolved to travel to the future market to look for opportunities. Having made up her mind, she returned to her room, locked the door, drew the curtains, and changed clothes in quick succession. In the next instant, she arrived in 2026. Stepping out of a restroom stall in the market, she wandered through the aisles with her hands behind her back. She passed fruit stalls and delicatessens before reaching the fresh produce section. Various brands of pork, beef, and chicken lined the counters. Prices varied between vendors. Pork sold for more than 10 yuan a jean, while in her own time it cost only 1 yuan and 90 fin a jean. The price gap was more than tenfold. Su Qiuyue's heart raced at the promising business prospect. Then she thought again. She could not sell pork casually from a street stall like she did with eggs. It would look unsafe and unhygienic, and customers would be wary. She shook her head and discarded the idea. Walking onward, she came to the chicken stall, stocked with farm-raised poultry with plump, attractive flesh. A woman standing beside her side. It's so hard to find genuine free-range chickens. All they have here are factory, farmed ones. Su Qiuyue's eyes lit up. Of course. Free-range eggs were popular in 2026, and her village's native chickens should be too. These chickens foraged naturally. Villagers fed them leftover meals, cabbage leaves and cornmeal, never artificial feed. They commanded high prices. She quickly searched free-range chicken prices on her phone. A single genuine bird cost upwards of 100 yuan. Back in 1989, a chicken sold for roughly 15 yuan. This trade was worth pursuing. The village had plenty of native chickens. Eager to return and arrange for her brother and sister-in-law to buy a few chickens as a trial shipment, she hurried back toward the restroom. She returned to 1989 and stepped outside. Her brother and sister-in-law had not yet come back. She went to find Zhou Xiaofeng. "Mom, would you be willing to sell some of our chickens?" Zhou Xiaofeng looked up in confusion. "What are you planning now? Do you want to sell chickens again?" Su Qiuyue scratched her head. "Wild and free-range goods are very popular in town. I thought I could take more merchandise each trip. I want to take 2 first to test demand. If they sell well, I'll bring more next time." Zhou Xiaofeng nodded. "Your father went to help build a wall at the neighbor's yard. I'll ask him to slaughter a few when he comes home tonight." Su Qiuyue shook her head. "Slaughter one only. Keep the others alive. Tell Dad to put them in feed sacks with holes poked out so their heads can stick through and breathe. Buyers will want to see them alive to confirm they are genuine native chickens." "All right, I'll have your father sorted out once he's home." Su Qiuyue stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Zhou Xiaofeng's neck. "Mom, you're the best." Zhou Xiaofeng hugged her back. "I'll support whatever my eldest daughter sets out to do." Su Qiuyue pulled 75 yuan from her pocket and handed it over. "Mom, payment for 5 chickens." Fearing Zhou Xiaofeng would refuse, she added quickly. "Even close relatives must settle accounts clearly. If you won't take it, I'll go buy chickens from other households tomorrow."